better facilities for junior doctors, and that's why we are seeing these protests across the country. The state government saying that they're already looking into all of these things. This incident, of course, very, very unfortunate. And of course, there's politics also over the incident, and
yes,
that is something that the BJP and the opposition CPIM have also protested about. And the Trinamool has said, look, we've arrested the accused, we've,
yes, but keeping the politics aside for a moment, Saurabh, because, of course, the focus right now, as you pointed out, is on the rights of our junior doctors, our resident doctors, who, as you point out, there's already enough workload, there's already shortage of doctors across cities, and then these kind of incidents really worsen the situation for our doctors, particularly resident doctors. Tanushka is also with us. I believe she's outside one of the government hospitals in Delhi. I'm not sure if she's outside AIIMS, but Tanushka, how has the strike impacted government colleges, government hospitals here in the national capital? Are you seeing any sort of impact just yet?
Exactly, Vedant. I'm outside Safdarjung Hospital right now, wherein in a powerful, display of outrage and solidarity against this heinous crime that was committed in the brutal rape and murder of this trainee doctor in Arjikar Medical Hospital in Calcutta. What we understand is that protests have broken out nationwide. This is what the Indian Medical Association had also, given a 48-hour ultimatum that if immediate action is not taken into this case and a probe is not, in place, then nationwide protests will be in full swing. And in Delhi, ever since yesterday evening at these major government hospitals in AIIMS, be it Safdarjung, be it GTP Hospital, all of these hospitals have, started off with candle marches with respect to the murder of this doctor. And, in a show that all of these services, the elective services at these government hospitals will be indefinitely halted unless and until there is action taken in. What the IMA has also demanded, there are 3 demands that come from IMA side, is that, of course, definite and thorough investigation into the case as to how is it that, also as how Saurabh, my colleague, was pointing out earlier, how is it that a man just, walks into premises where he is apparently not allowed to walk into, and wherein these seminar halls wherein this woman was studying and preparing and also taking rest, just walks in and commits such a crime. How is this that this is possible? Security measures need to be checked across all hospitals in the country, especially, of course, in Kolkata, and a thorough investigation into the case, as well as maintaining an overall and holistic picture of security and safety, ensuring safety for these doctors. Because what's the question right now is how are we to expect these doctors to save lives when their lives are not safe in the first place?
Absolutely, and as you point out that it's rightfully so that the doctors are demanding justice, but really sad and unfortunate to see doctors having to take to streets. In fact, look at those resident doctors there. As Saurabh was also pointing out, it's about a larger collapse of the public healthcare system, the rights of doctors, safety against violence. All those are very pertinent questions. My colleague Anuj is also joining us, I'm being told, from Mumbai. Anuj, what is the impact of the strike there? Do you see resident doctors already out on the streets? What are you witnessing?
The kind of protest that we are going to see here in Mumbai is slightly different from what might be the case in the rest of the country. I'm here at the JJ Hospital, one of the oldest medical institutions, not just in India, but in the entire South Asia, where all the residential doctors, especially from the postgraduate courses, would be making a mark and standing in solidarity with the victim and the victim's family here throughout the day. And they'll be doing it not by putting off a strike, because this is one of the most busy hospital, one of the busiest hospital here in the city, but by wearing a black band on their arm. And they'll also be having a candle march later today. We contacted the students yesterday, and then they told us about how they had reached out out to people and to students to across the city to make sure that this particular form of protest kind of resonates and spreads across the city, through which they can continue to do their work, because as we can see, the work here or the hospitals here will start functioning at a greater pace as soon as the clock hits 9 or 10 a.m. and that is when the doctors, the medical students will start coming here to the hospital, and they'll function as smoothly as they always did by just wearing a black arm to show their, as a sign of solidarity to stand with the victim in Kolkata.
All right, Anuj and Tanushka, thanks very much for being with us and getting us all those details. In fact, as Anuj and Tanushka are reporting, we're going to witness strikes across, the capital city and also in Mumbai. This, of course, is doctors demand justice. In fact, the IMA has also called for a central law on violence against doctors. There was a bill pending before Parliament, and this has been pending for the past couple of years. Who takes responsibility for that young girl's rape and murder? Join our NDTV campaign, Save Our Daughters. Tweet, post, blog, use the campaign hashtag Safeguard Our Daughters. Moving now to the other big headline this morning. Well, heavy rains across North India. In fact, there you can see those dramatic visuals coming in from Gurugram. Also a similar situation in the capital region. Now the IMD, the Met Department, has issued a heavy rain alert for parts of NCR. In fact, a travel advisory as well by top airlines, including Indigo. Indigo has appealed to its passengers to keep in mind the delay that might be caused due to traffic and bottlenecks across the capital region. In fact, yesterday, Gurugram was brought to a complete standstill. Scenes similar to last year, and also perhaps a grim reminder of what we saw back in 2018 as well. There you can see visuals from across North India: Delhi, Gurugram, Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan as well. In Rajasthan, in fact, there were 4 deaths. A young mother and child also died due to the flood chaos. There was a house collapse as well reported in Rajasthan. In Himachal Pradesh as well, rivers in spate leaving behind a trail of destruction. But the situation in Delhi NCR remains the most concerning, given the fact that the drains remain clogged. There's been nothing done to desilt the drains, which is what causes waterlogging across the capital region, particularly in Delhi and also in Gurugram. In fact, yesterday it was absolutely unprecedented, the kind of inundation we saw in Gurugram. The situation was not as bad, given the fact that it was a Sunday, but it's going to be worse today. These are visuals coming in from the border areas of Punjab and Himachal Pradesh. In fact, these are visuals from Hoshiarpur, I'm being told. Look at those dramatic visuals. Rivers in spate. In fact, several areas in Himachal Pradesh also completely submerged. Looking at the situation now up north in Jammu and Kashmir, where there were landslides reported in the Jammu region. In fact, a key national highway was also shut because of the landslides, and these are visuals of the restoration work going on in the Jammu-Srinagar highway. Remember, there has been an extended heat wave in Jammu and Kashmir, and now incessant rain, a clear impact of climate change. But looking at the situation in Rajasthan, well, East Rajasthan has suffered the worst impact. As I was saying earlier, 4 people have died in Rajasthan, including a young mother and child. Take a look.
Rain havoc in Rajasthan. Rivers in spate and cities like Jaipur, Bharatpur, Dausa and Karoli facing various degrees of waterlogging. Picnic perils. 5 youth who had gone to swim in the Kanota Dam near Jaipur swept away. The SDRF team carrying out rescue operations. Similar scenes in Bharatpur, where 7 youth were swept away in the fast-flowing Bar Ganga river. The gates of the Panchna Dam opened after a heavy influx of water. Old homes and buildings caving in with the rain, leaving 4 people dead in Karoli. Another district that has witnessed heavy rainfall is Karoli. The SDRF team called out in Karoli. Senior district officials reached the city to monitor relief and rescue. Jaipur city faced severe waterlogging. Policemen could be seen manning underpasses, asking people not to venture in that direction as water there could be treacherous. The Chief Minister, Mr. Bhajan Lal, called a high-level meeting of the disaster management force. The CM tweeted, asking people to take precautions during the rain. The Met Department has predicted an orange and yellow alert for the next 24 hours for all districts in North and East Rajasthan. In Jaipur, Harsha Kumari Singh, NDTV. Very heavy rain in North and East Rajasthan. In fact, there are reports that almost 19 people have been swept away in rain-related incidents. And you can see in Jaipur also it's been raining quite heavily. In fact, if I just move and show you that here the streets are actually, it's a busy morning. But behind me, if you just see, the streets are absolutely deserted. Nobody is moving around because there is a heavy rain alert. Schools have also been shut, and you can see water has collected here. In fact, in many parts of the city, waterlogging has been reported, especially in areas where there are underpasses, low-lying areas where water is collecting. So that's leading to a lot of waterlogging, and a policeman was seen yesterday asking people not to venture into the underpasses. The IMD has said heavy rain alert for Jaipur, Karoli, Bharatpur, Dausa, Savai Madhopur. The northeast of Rajasthan is severely affected by rain. In fact, the SDRF has been called out in Karoli for rescue operations. In Bharatpur, a very tragic incident where 7 youth was swept away. In Jaipur too, 5 people swept away in the Kanota Dam, picnic perils, going out to picnic on a Sunday, but 5 of them swept away. 4 bodies have been recovered. So the rain situation in Rajasthan, flood-like situation in many parts of the state, and heavy rain expected over the next 2 days.
All right, my colleague Shreya is now joining us from Gurugram. So Shreya, what we saw yesterday was absolutely unprecedented, the kind of waterlogging in Gurugram. Not unprecedented actually, because this is something that we've seen in 2018 and 2019 as well. But what is the situation today? Are you seeing traffic bottlenecks as far as Gurugram is concerned? The peak office hours are yet to kick in.
Right, so Gurgaon, the Millennium City that had turned into a lake over the weekend because of heavy rainfall, has now returned to normalcy. Partially it has returned to normalcy. The water has receded in most of the areas. We saw water entering the societies and disrupting the daily lives of the residents of Gurgaon. Right now, there's slight waterlogging in nooks and corners of the city, but overall, the water has receded. The municipal corporation of Gurgaon deployed machinery to pump out water, but some of the residents have been complaining that there had been no response from the municipal corporation of Gurgaon. Rather, it was the residents who had to call for the machinery to pump out water. So I'm joined by a fellow resident. Sir, आप कहाँ पे रहते हो? अभी उधर का पानी अभी भी जमा हुआ है कि नहीं?
अभी रोड किनारे अभी भी जमा हुआ है काफ़ी हद में, और आप देख सकते हैं अभी भी चल रहा है यहाँ पे पानी। कल से बहुत बुरा हाल है, घंटों के हिसाब से यहाँ ट्रैफिक हो जाता है, जबकि 5 मिनट का हमारा रास्ता है स्कूल का, लेकिन 50-50 मिनट लग जाते हैं। बहुत बुरी स्थिति है, जगह जगह गड्ढे खुदे पड़े हैं, पता नहीं क्या काम करा रहा है। काफ़ी दिन से वो गड्ढे, कई गाड़ियाँ चली गई, बाइक वाले उनमें चले गए, डिलीवरी बॉय, और कोई सुनवाई नहीं है। पूरी सोसाइटियों में पानी जाता है सड़कों का।
और इधर कहीं पे इंटरनल स्टॉर्म वाटर ड्रेन्स नहीं है, वो अभी बन रहा है कि क्या है? अभी
कुछ नहीं है इनका, बस यही है। कई लोग से बाहर शिकायत की है सोसाइटी, सब लोगों ने, हम लोगों ने, कहते हैं चल रहा है काम सर, जल्दी हो जाएगा, ख़त्म हो जाएगा, मगर आज तक कोई पूरी आधी बरसात निकल गई, अभी तक इनका कोई काम ही नहीं हुआ है। आप सब जगह खुदा पड़ा है, यहाँ पे आप देखिए सारे जगह ईंटें पत्थर इनके पड़े हुए हैं महीने भर से, लेकिन काम नहीं हुआ कुछ भी, ऐसे ही पड़ा है वो जो भी उन्होंने रखा।
तो आप बोल रहे कि सेक्टर 56 में अभी भी काफ़ी सारे ओपन ड्रेन्स हैं?
जी 7 में 6 में दोनों में, आप इधर भी जाइए इधर भी जाइए, दोनों में यही स्थिति है ख़राब। और सारी सड़क किनारे अगर लोग ऐसे निकलते हैं तो उनका गाड़ी का टायर चला गया, उसमें गाड़ी फंस गई उनकी, या उनका बाइक चला गया, तो बहुत बुरी कंडीशन है इनकी। मैंने कई लोगों को ऐसे देखा है, डिलीवरी बॉय या अन्य बाइक वाले। कल एक यहीं पे उस खड्डे में आप देख सकते हो, उसमें गिर गया था एक बाइक वाला, तो उसको लग भी गई है काफ़ी, फिर उठाया मैंने उसको गाड़ी से उतर के।
बहुत कौन से सेक्टर में सबसे ज़्यादा तकलीफ होती है पानी भरने की?
एक तो 54 में होती है। कल गोल चक्कर पे सारी गाड़ियाँ बंद हो गई, ख़राब हो गई, तो घंटों के हिसाब से जाम लगा वहाँ, 2.5-3 घंटे। 4 से लेके यहाँ 55, 6 और 7 ये 4 सेक्टर 3 में बहुत बुरी स्थिति, कंडीशन खराब है। बाकी तो इधर उधर का पता नहीं है क्या है।
सोसाइटीज के अंदर जो पानी चला गया था वो प्राइवेटली लोगों ने मोटर पंप
मतलब सोसाइटी वालों ने खुद ही बुलाया प्राइवेट पंप वालों को, वो पंप लेके आए, 2 पंप बुलाए हैं उन्होंने, तब भी जाके बड़ी मुश्किल से कवर हुआ। उसमें भी बहुत टाइम लगा कवर करने में, तो वो कवर हुआ नहीं है पानी। और फिर वो जब बरसात बंद हुई है फिर उसके बाद में चलता रहा घंटों, तब जाके निकला है। तो बहुत कंडीशन, उनकी गाड़ियां अंदर सोसाइटी में डूब गई, सब लोगों की गाड़ियां।
Thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. So as you clearly heard from him that there are no internal stormwater drains here in Gurgaon, and the Municipal Corporation of Gurgaon has not been as responsive as they are expected to be. And of course right now in the nooks and corners of the city, of Gurgaon, water is still it is still inundated, but overall now we can see it's an overcast sky. A slight drizzling is going on, but there is no major waterlogged situation here in Gurgaon.
All right, so Shreya, thanks very much for joining us with that. Residents there angry, of course, as you're reporting. The situation is partially normal right now, but the root cause remains the same, and that is clogged drains. Why has desilting not been done? That is a big question. Thanks very much, Shreya. Tanushka is also joining us from Delhi. Tanushka, are there any traffic bottlenecks? As I asked Shreya as well, the peak office hours are yet to kick in, but the situation in Delhi slightly better than Gurugram, though the IMD has predicted heavy showers in the next couple of hours.
That's exactly the case, Vedant. Right now, as of now, the traffic movement seems to be pretty normal in Delhi at least. However, as you rightly mentioned, the peak office hours have not started yet, so congestion can be expected in traffic at the peak office hours. Just a couple of minutes ago, it was drizzling here. As you can see around me, the skies are overcast. It is a generally cloudy sky today, and what the IMD has predicted, not just for today but the week ahead as well for Delhi and NCR region, which includes Gurugram and Noida as well, is that moderate to heavy rainfall will be expected in these areas, especially today in Delhi as well as in Gurugram. These rain situations are creating an intense waterlogging problem also, not just in Gurugram but also in Delhi. Major stretches of roads are waterlogged, and traffic advisories are also issued in such cases, so that there is free flow of movement of traffic in such rain conditions. Flights have also been delayed. We know that from Indigo, from Air India as well as from Air Vistara, that flights have been delayed because of such bad weather conditions. However, no flights have been cancelled as of yet, but because of the overcast sky and the possibility of a heavy rainfall in not just today but in the days ahead as well, these flights remain cancelled. Even yesterday, Delhi received heavy showers of around 20 millimeters. Gurugram was entirely submerged because of the rain conditions. The Safdarjung station as of this morning has recorded only a 2.9 millimeters of rainfall, but that's just for this morning bit. The entire day we'll get the rainfall conditions later in the day, but this is what the Met Department has also said for the forecast in the week ahead, that heavy showers will be expected across Delhi NCR. Back to you.
All right, Tanushka, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there. So as Tanushka is reporting, well, no flight cancellations yet, but a word of caution certainly for commuters and passengers as well. But moving now to the other big headline, tragic news from Bihar. Well, at least 7 people have died in the stampede at a temple in Bihar, at the Siddheshwar Nath temple in Bihar. Absolutely tragic there. In fact, 9 people have been injured. Several of them have been shifted to a nearby hospital as well. The stampede was reported at the Siddheshwar Nath temple. What exactly was the reason behind it? That is still unclear, given the fact that there was some mismanagement reported as well as far as this temple was concerned, and this is a relatively popular temple as far as Bihar is concerned. Let's listen in to the police reaction that has come in.
यहाँ पे डीएम साहब भी आए थे, एसपी साहब भी आए थे, और वो सब विजिट कर रहे हैं, सब जगह देख रहे हैं कि कहाँ पे क्या क्या ये व्यवस्था है कि सारे लोग यहाँ पर पहुँचे हैं, नाम पता का हम लोग उनके परिजन से मिल रहे हैं, सत्यापन कर रहे हैं, उनका फिर विधिवत सम्मत जो भी पोस्टमार्टम होगा हम लोग करवा रहे हैं। अभी हमारे पास 7 है।
And moving now to the big business headline. Well, the Adani Group has categorically denied allegations in Hindenburg 2.0. The Adani Group has said that the Hindenburg report is malicious and manipulative. In fact, the SEBI has also come out with a statement after the Hindenburg report was published. The SEBI says that, well, all the allegations against the Adani Group have been duly probed and there was absolutely no investment as far as the group is concerned. Well, the SEBI has also appealed to investors to stay calm and exercise due diligence ahead of the market opening. This after the Hindenburg alleged some sort of complicity on the part of the SEBI chief as far as the alleged controversy as reported in Hindenburg 1.0 is concerned. Top economists, business leaders, including Mahesh Jethmalani, have said that this is a hit job and it's a contempt of Indian law. In fact, the Adani Group has said that it was, in fact, the Supreme Court that has vindicated or given a clean chit to the group. In fact, Mahesh Jethmalani has gone on to the extent of saying that the government should act against these anti-India elements. Take a look at all the reactions that have come in. And joining me exclusively on NDTV, Senior Advocate Mahesh Jethmalani, also a Senior Member of Parliament. Thanks very much, sir, for being with us. You have called Hindenburg 2.0, as it were, a damn squib and an attempt to destabilize the markets.
Yes, it is, because there's nothing new at all. There's a regurgitation of the old allegations, right, which have been discredited in the Supreme Court and dismissed by the Supreme Court, right? If you see the first two paragraphs are based on some money laundering of some over-invoicing of import equipment which has been imported into India and overvalued. Now, if that matter was based on a DRI initial report, right? The matter was considered by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said the DRI final report has exonerated any over-invoicing on the part of the Adani Group. The matter went to the CSTAT, the appellate tribunal from the Commissioner of Customs. They have also dismissed it. It's went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court dismissed it. And they tried to rehash it before the Supreme Court in this SEBI inquiry matter, which was finally dismissed again. And the Supreme Court said that the material which you are relying upon is all either old, stale, which has been considered and dismissed, right? Or it is based on third-party organizations with no credibility and no corroboration by anybody.
In fact, you also made an important point in your post that it's in fact the short seller, Hindenburg, which is in the dog, given the fact that SEBI had sent a notice to Hindenburg, and instead of responding to the notice, it's come up with a new report, which as many call, a hit job, and also the fact that it lacks intellectual rigor, as top economists put it.
It's a lightweight. I mean, this is not worthy of any reputed research analyst. This is a complete speculative job. I mean, it's based on complete innuendo and a flight of imagination. To do this, first of all, SEBI was directed by the Supreme Court to find out that in view of the massive retailer investor loss caused by the short sale episode, whether there was any violation of Indian law. Pursuant to that, it issued this notice to Hindenburg to ask the circumstances of the short sale and find out if it could detect any illegality. I mean, one obvious illegality was that Hindenburg itself was not allowed to do this kind of thing because it was not a research analyst registered with SEBI. It couldn't do it, right? But it did so anyway. That's a flagrant violation. Instead of replying to all these things, they started targeting SEBI. They started targeting the chairperson of SEBI, Mrs. Booch. So they ran away from the question. They then dodged the questions. And they did a straight attack, the kind of thing which you have in the Supreme Court by a certain group of people, led by a certain group of lawyers who every time they lose start casting aspersion on the credibility of the bench. So this is what they've done now. Now, when you have nothing to say on merits and facts, you attack the umpire. In this case, SEBI.
So Mahesh Jethmalani, there pretty strong words there. But my colleague Sakshi Bajaj also spoke to the former executive director of SEBI. Listen to what he had to say.
We are joined by Mr. G.N. Gupta, former Executive Director of SEBI. Thanks very much for your time. This, of course, someone who's been part of the of SEBI at large, this fresh allegation and a grave one at that against the SEBI chief. How do you think this will impact the stock markets in days to come, as well as the entire standing of the market regulator at large?
Good evening. Good evening to your viewers. Thank you for having me. I have to first say that it is very difficult for anybody to say that what is going to be the impact of this report on market tomorrow, because every investor is free to take his own call. But I would say, if I were the investor, what I will do? If I were the investor, I would read this report and throw it in dustbin. And probably the dustbin will also say, don't throw this report to me. It is not even worth this place. So this report is as rubbish as it could be. Therefore, I do not expect any intelligent investor or anybody to give cognizance to this report in any manner and continue their life as if nothing has happened.
हिंडनबर्ग ने फिर हिंदुस्तान की इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम में सेंध लगाई है। अडानी के ऊपर हिंडनबर्ग ने फिर एलिगेशन लगाए हैं। पहले भी हिंडनबर्ग इस तरह की हरकत कर चुका है। हमारे साथ भारतीय जनता पार्टी के वरिष्ठ नेता और देश के कानून मंत्री अर्जुन राम मेघवाल मौजूद हैं। हम इनसे बात करते हैं। अर्जुन राम जी, जिस तरह से हिंडनबर्ग बार बार एलिगेशन लगा रहा है, तो ये क्या हिंडनबर्ग ने अपना जॉब बना लिया है?
देखिए, भारत की आर्थिक जो प्रोग्रेस है वो तेजी से हो रही है। कुछ ऐसे पैरामीटर होते हैं जिसमें जब भारत प्रोग्रेस करता है तो हो सकता है कुछ देश प्रशंसा करें, लेकिन कुछ देशों को पीड़ा भी हो सकती है। भारत का जीडीपी सबसे तेज गति से बढ़ रहा है और लगातार ग्रोथ हो रही है, तो उनको लगता भी इतना जीडीपी ग्रोथ कैसे। फिर हमारा जो फिस्कल डिफिसिट है उसको हमने कंट्रोल में रखा है। हमारा जो एमएसएमई सेक्टर है वो हमारा शानदार योगदान दे रहा है। इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोडक्शन वो हमारे देश की जो आर्थिक प्रगति है उसमें तेजी से योगदान दे रहा है। तो ये कई चीजों को कई लोगों को लगता भी ये इतना मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में कैसे आगे देश बढ़ रहा है। इसलिए कई बार ऐसी चीजें ला करके देश को बदनाम करने का काम कुछ लोग करते हैं। देखिए, इसमें पहले भी एक विषय आया था, संसद में इस पे चर्चा भी हुई थी और हमने कहा था कि भाई इसमें जो देश की स्थिति है वो आप हमारी सेबी पे विश्वास करो। अब आज उन्होंने सेबी पे भी कुछ कह दिया है। सेबी के जो पुराने हमारे जो हैं उन्होंने जवाब भी दिया है। सारी चीजें क्लियर है, तो क्योंकि देश प्रगति कर रहा है इसलिए कुछ लोगों को ईर्ष्या है, वैसे और कुछ नहीं।
And with that, we'll take a short break now, but news continues on the other side.
Get the magic of the best working for you now.
Link your payment cards once, collect rewards forever.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. Ten years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. everyone, everywhere, every day. बनेगा स्वस्थ इंडिया. One World Hygiene.
Hi, I'm Shreya Saran. Kerala's Wayanad area is hit by devastating landslides, resulting in loss of lives and livelihood. Kerala needs your help right now. Let's join NDTV initiative. Come, donate. Let's rebuild Wayanad.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News App. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, is that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
Landslide devastation in Kerala's Wayanad. Join NDTV's initiative.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Welcome back. You're watching Good Morning India, and the big headline this morning, well, the Supreme Court will hear K. Kavita's bail plea. In fact, the Supreme Court is expected to pronounce its order as far as K. Kavita's bail plea is concerned. Remember, KCR's daughter had challenged Delhi High Court's order regarding her bail. The Delhi High Court had made pretty strong observations, saying that she appears to be one of the main conspirators as far as the now scrapped liquor policy is concerned. She is alleged to be, the main person as far as the South Group, the alleged South Group is concerned in the liquor policy case. And well, this also comes just days after Manish Sisodia's bail. In fact, the Supreme Court had made it clear that bail is the rule and jail the exception. My colleague Uma Sudhir is now joining us live. So, Uma, K. Kavita clearly hopeful after the Supreme Court verdict in Manish Sisodia's bail plea.
Yes, indeed. Kavita's family as well as the party that she represents, both of them very hopeful that things would turn for the better after the relief that Manish Sisodia, former Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, got from the Supreme Court in both the Enforcement Directorate as well as the CBI case. What we understand is that this is item number 63. It's expected to come up in the Supreme Court at noon today, and her husband as well as both her sons, we are told, are in Delhi, hopeful of some positive developments from the court. But procedurally speaking, what we expect is that it will come up in court and the notices may be issued to the agencies, and then it may come up for arguments possibly even next week. So immediate relief possibly may not happen in this case. Like you mentioned, the Delhi High Court and before that the Special Court, Trial Court had in fact not given her bail, and the Delhi High Court had made quite strong observations saying that she can't be given a relief that otherwise women can expect because she's a very influential person. They claim that she's the key conspirator in this case. They even claim that 292 crore rupees of assets is what they say that could have been part of the proceeds of crime, as they put it. And they had given arguments saying that being an influential person, an MLC, the daughter of the former chief minister, she could influence witnesses. K.T. Ramarao, who is her brother as well as the working president of the BRS, has argued, saying that long incarceration even after a charge sheet does not make sense. That once a charge sheet is done, what it means is that the investigation is completed, and whatever the investigating agencies had to say on the case would already be put in the charge sheet. And therefore, like in Manish Sisodia case, he has quoted that and said that they are hopeful, because the apex court has in fact said it is, it is bail which should be preferred and not jail. Bail, not jail is something that is spoken about very often, and the arguments given in that particular case by the Supreme Court, saying that they in fact opined that the speedy justice is being denied because of the delay in trial. That same arguments can be applied in the Kavita case as well, is what Mr. K.T. Ramarao has also been saying that after the Supreme Court's pronouncement in the Manish Sisodia case, they are much more hopeful. And yes, it's coming up before the same B.R. Gavai and K.V. Vishwanath, and therefore reason for hope, and we expect that the case will come up in court today around noon. Back to you.
Right, Uma, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there. As Uma is reporting, K. Kavita hopeful of a bail after Supreme Court invoked that precedent that bail is a rule and jail the exception. But moving now to the other big headline, well, back-to-back terror encounters in Jammu and Kashmir, the latest being Udhampur. It all started with a terror encounter in Anantnag, in which tragically 2 soldiers were killed in the line of action. After that, there was an encounter in the Kishtwar area of Jammu and Kashmir as well, and now an encounter in Udhampur, a brief exchange of fire as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, as far as Udhamnagar is concerned. My colleague Nazir Masoodi, in fact, is now joining us live. So Nazir, back-to-back terror encounters in Udhamnagar as well. There was this brief exchange of firing between terrorists and security forces.
Well, yesterday evening, there was an exchange of fire between militants and the security force in Basantgarh area of Udhampur district near Jammu. This is the area which has become highly infested by militancy, and it is the third incident of firing between security forces, mainly police, and the militants in this particular area. Basantgarh is also bordering the Kutwa district as well. So, which is posing a serious security challenge. What is worry for the security forces? After every incident, almost every incident, militants disappear like phantom. So same thing happened in Kokarnag, Anantnag district, where during the encounter, 2 special forces personnel of the army were killed in action. Another was injured. One civilian was also injured, killed in firing. Another was injured. There was also a incident of firing in Kishtwar as well. So this militants operating on both sides of the Pir Panjal mountains has become the biggest security challenge. J&K's Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has said that Pakistan is sending highly trained militants to destabilize situation, and police has said that look, these are militants who are trained in the jungle warfare. So this is causing a significant security challenge, but the security forces say they are redeploying troops to deal with this situation, to figure out how this jungle warfare can be dealt with effectively, because in most of the encounters, militants have managed to escape. As I said, they disappear like phantom. So that remains the bigger challenge, how to track them down, pin them down in these forests, in this jungle warfare.
All right, Nazir, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there. As Nazir is reporting the brief exchange of fire in Udhampur, while of course the focus has shifted to the Jammu region, militancy is clearly not dead as far as the valley is concerned either. Moving now to the other big headline, well, as North India reels under the impact of severe waterlogging and heavy rain, even down south in Bengaluru, the situation is no different. There was heavy rain, overnight rain in the Hebbal city. In fact, there was traffic bottlenecks as well. Look at those dramatic visuals coming in. of vehicles having to, go through almost waist-deep water as I can see it. And of course, the civic chaos continues as far as Bengaluru is concerned. There you can see rescue teams also at the spot, and the situation remains grim. In fact, the Met Department has issued an alert for some parts of Karnataka as well. Moving now to a tragic incident that has occurred this morning in Bihar's Jehanabad, a stampede at the Baba Siddheshwar Nath temple in the Vanavar area of Bihar. 7 people have died. In fact, 7 bodies have had been brought to the Jehanabad Sadar hospital. The death toll may rise. The stampede reportedly happened at night when there was a large crowd of devotees gathered for Jalabhishek during the holy month of Sawan. In fact, at least 9 people have been injured as well. What really was the cause behind the stampede is unknown. Reports of mismanagement as well. But listen in to what the police had to say.
डीएम साहब भी आए थे, एसपी साहब भी आए थे और वो सब विजिट कर रहे हैं, सब जगह देख रहे हैं कि कहाँ पे क्या क्या ये व्यवस्था है कि सारे लोग यहाँ पर पहुँचे हैं, नाम पता का हम लोग उनके परिजन से मिल रहे हैं, सत्यापन कर रहे हैं, उनका फिर विधिवत सम्मत जो भी पोस्टमार्टम होगा हम लोग करवा रहे हैं। अभी हमारे पास 7 है।
All right, my colleague Prabhakar is now joining us live. So Prabhakar, 7 people, at least 7 people have died, 9 people have been injured. What really was the cause behind, this stampede? Reports of mismanagement and, lack of crowd control as well.
Yeah, it's a sheer case of mismanagement. Remember, it's a holy month of Sawan, and especially at all the Shiva temples, especially on Monday, there's a huge crowd which comes over, and the local administration is fully aware of that. So the Siddheshwara temple is one of the well-known Shiva temples in this particular area, and people were expected, rather people were queuing up there since early morning, since 2 or 3 a.m. They were queuing up there. The local administration had not deputed a quick force there. What we are learning from our sources that there was a clash between the devotees and the local shopkeepers over there, and that actually turned ugly and led into a stampede. 7 people, we are told, have lost their life. There are many who are injured. They have been rushed to the hospital. And now the senior officials of the local administration, they're all posted there. But remember, they're trying to contain the situation. The situation as of now is contained on the ground. But remember, had the force deputation been there adequately, been done in advance, this tragic incident could have been averted.
All right, Prabhakar, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there. As Prabhakar is reporting a clear case of mismanagement as far as the stampede is concerned, the death toll, unfortunately, may rise as well. But moving now to the big international headline with the situation in India's neighborhood and in Bangladesh, the big concern is the reported attack on minorities, on Hindus in the neighboring country. Of course, India is watching all the developments closely. The latest is that Mohammed Yunus, the head of the interim government, has called for a meeting as well to look at the situation of minorities. In fact, in a statement, he has said that the focus is very much on the protection of minorities. In fact, importantly, Narendra Modi, after Mohammed Yunus took over, said in a post that, he appealed in a sense to the Bangladesh government, to the interim government there, to make sure that the minorities, the Hindus, are safe as far as Bangladesh are concerned. Remember, there have been various reports, various unconfirmed reports also of attacks on the Hindu community. In fact, reports also of attacks on temples, etc. Those are, of course, unconfirmed reports. But the situation of minorities as far as Bangladesh is concerned remains something that is concerning. Remember, there's no end to the Bangladesh unrest. There were protests witnessed over the weekend as well. In fact, we saw how a huge crowd of students had garrowed the Supreme Court as well. There's a new Chief Justice also. But my colleague Mohammed Ghazali, I'm being told, is now joining us live. So Ghazali, what's the latest as far as the situation in Bangladesh is concerned? Mohammed Yunus calling for an urgent meeting. The situation of minorities indeed remains concerning.
Yes, the situation is alarming, and there is no denying fact that no matter how you downplay this, but attacks on minorities are happening in Bangladesh. And Mr. Yunus, the head of the interim government, there on the day of taking oath and taking charge of the government, had promised and appealed the nation to stay united and protect the minorities. But things have not gone as planned by Mr. Yunus or as was expected. The Indian government is also in touch with their Bangladeshi counterparts, with the officials, with the new officials, ministers in the interim government. And now what we're being told is that Mr. Yunus may be holding a meeting with the representatives of the Hindu community. Now there are Hindu minority communities, especially because Hindus are under attack there. So there are people from Buddhist communities, there are people from Christian communities, and there are joint forums also who represent the concerns and interests of these communities. So Mr. Yunus is going to meet these members, the representatives of these minority communities, and he has been assuring people that we need to protect minorities. But that's not visible on the ground. There have been reports also that people from majority community are guarding and protecting the places of worship of minority communities. But we also have seen large-scale protests by the Hindu community there in Bangladesh at multiple locations. And now Indian government is also in touch, but every eye will be on this meeting, which is proposed today between the representatives of Hindu community and Mr. Yunus, because Mr. Yunus's government is also composed of people who come from Jamaat Islami and BNP. They all are saying that perhaps all these reports are propaganda and rumors. But we have seen that these reports, there are credible reports of attacks on minority community and atrocities on the members of minority community. So we'll have to see that what comes out of this meeting and whether the attacks on minority community comes to a halt now, whether it's stopped now, because what is also concerning is that there are no policemen on the street. The policemen who were affiliated or the police officers who were affiliated with the Awami League government or with the Sheikh Hasina government, they have not turned up for duty now. They are still facing or expecting reprisal from these student volunteers and supporters of BNP and Jamaat Islami. So certainly controlling the law and order situation in Bangladesh is a big challenge for Mr. Yunus. And very soon, we'll get to know after this meeting that what concrete steps will be taken to protect the interest of minorities in Bangladesh.
All right, Ghazali, thanks very much for joining us with all those details there. In fact, as Ghazali is reporting, several representatives of the Hindu community will also be meeting Mohammed Yunus. So this meeting is going to be crucial. But moving now to the incredible story of Aman, who is now the youngest Indian to get a bronze medal at the Olympics. He clinched his first Olympics bronze medal at the Paris Olympics by defeating, a world champion in men's 57 kg wrestling event. In his latest Instagram post, the Olympic medalist wrote, "Everything is possible with hard work and dedication." Take a look.
अमन, बहुत बहुत मुबारकबाद मेडल के लिए। एक बार मेडल आप सबको दिखा दीजिए, क्योंकि इंडिया में सब आपका मेडल देखना चाहेंगे। ये अमन शेरावत का मेडल है, ब्रॉन्ज मेडल, एंड दिस इज़ द 6th मेडल फ्रॉम द पेरिस ओलंपिक गेम्स इन 6 छत्रसाल स्टेडियम। अमन, सबसे पहले तो ये बताइए कि क्या मानसिकता लेकर आप आए हुए थे? आप 21 साल के हैं, सबसे यंगेस्ट इंडिया के ओलंपिक मेडलिस्ट हैं, क्या मानसिकता लेके आए हुए थे?
यही लेके आए थे भाई, ओलंपिक में मेडल जीतना सोच के तो गोल्ड किए आए थे, पर जो हुआ अच्छा होगा। मतलब आगे अभी जो ये कमी रही है, अभी अगले ओलंपिक में जो 28 नहीं गए, पहले से तैयारी करके आएंगे।
मतलब इसने आपकी हंगर को और बढ़ा दिया है?
हाँ, मतलब सभी ऐसे कहते थे भाई अभी इस ओलंपिक से अच्छा तो 28 में मिलेगा, फिर मैं इस ओलंपिक में मेडल दूँगा। तो फिर मतलब वे कह रहे थे 28 में, तो 28 में अच्छा लग रहा है।
अच्छा अमन, एक चीज़ बताओ, कल बाउट के बाद आज भी आपका बाउट होना था और इस बीच वेट काफ़ी इंक्रीज हो गया था। क्या किया आपने पूरे रात? अपने वेट घटाने के लिए भी कुछ किए है?
कुछ नहीं थी, बहुत कुछ के मतलब पहले तो बाउट ख़त्म हुई, फिर 2 घंटे प्रैक्टिस करी, ख़त्म होते ही यहीं फिर जाके 1 बजे वहाँ पर जिम में करी विलेज में, 3 बजे जाके कहीं वजन आया, फिर नींद आए नहीं आई, फिर तो मतलब वजन नहीं दिया। मेन टारगेट तो ऐसा था भाई, वजन लाना है बस।
ब्रॉन्ज मेडल बाउट से पहले आप सोए? बिल्कुल नहीं
सोए तो जी 8-9 तारीख को तो कभी 1 मिनट भी नींद नहीं आई। कुश्ती की चली हुई थी एकदम, मतलब सोने की कोशिश करे जब भी भाई कुश्ती में क्या रहा कैसा क्या होगा।
अच्छा, एक आखिरी सवाल कि आप बहुत छोटे से छत्रसाल स्टेडियम में हो, आपके माँ बाप गुजरे हैं, लेकिन कोई फैमिली मेम्बर अभी याद आ रहे हैं, किसी को आप ये मेडल डेडिकेट करना चाहते हो, दिखाना चाहते हो घर वापस जाके?
घर में तो गुरु जी और मेरे सागर भाई हैं जो मुझे स्टेडियम में संभालते हैं, तो उन्हीं को दिखाना चाहता हूँ मैं। ये मैंने जीत लिया, ये आपकी मेहनत थी।
आपके लिए हम सब बहुत बहुत प्राउड है और वाकई में वो भी बहुत प्राउड होंगे। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
What an inspiring story there, and he is all of 22. Well, that's all the time that we have on this edition of Good Morning India, but news continues on the top of the hour.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
Hi, I'm Shreya Saran. Kerala's Wayanad area is hit by devastating landslides, resulting in loss of lives and livelihood. Kerala needs your help right now. Let's join NDTV initiative. Come, donate. Let's rebuild Wayanad.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News App. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
A $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, is that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is
Hello and welcome. You're watching Good Morning India, the news show to start your day with. Coming up on the show this morning, well, heavy rain across North India, bringing cities across the country to a standstill. We'll get to the latest on the rain situation, also if flights are impacted. But first up, the headlines. Continuous rain brings parts of North India to a standstill. Gurugram flooded yet again. Is this just waterlogging or a deluge of dysfunction? Meanwhile, in Rajasthan, the flood chaos kills a young mother and her child. Doctors up in arms after the chilling Kolkata murder. A nationwide protest by resident doctors. Young doctor was killed on duty in Kolkata. India's market regulator rebuts Hindenburg charges. Stay calm as SEBI appeals to investors. SEBI also says that there was no investment made from the fund in the Adani group. The SEBI says that allegations against the conglomerate have been duly investigated. The Adani group calls Hindenburg 2.0 a red herring. It says there are no commercial ties whatsoever with the SEBI chief. The Adani group says the Hindenburg report is a contempt of the Indian law. And Paris Olympics ends with a spectacular show with 6 medals in our kitty. India ends the Olympics campaign. India's medal tally at 6 with 1 silver and 5 bronze medals, though suspense over Vinesh Phogat's silver medal lingers on. Our lead story this morning, well, heavy rains across North India, bringing key cities to a standstill. In fact, Gurugram saw unprecedented visuals there yesterday with waterlogging and severe inundation across the Millennium City. In fact, there you can see visuals from across North India, Delhi, Gurugram, Himachal Pradesh and also Rajasthan, interestingly, where East Rajasthan and North Rajasthan continue to reel under the impact of severe rain. These are visuals from Gurugram. There you can see waist-deep water, people having to wade through waist-deep water. In fact, the root cause of the problem remains the same. It's clogged drains. The desilting of drains has not been done, which is why similar scenes year after year as far as Gurugram is concerned. The traffic situation wasn't as bad yesterday given the fact that it was a Sunday, but today, of course, traffic bottlenecks could be witnessed, particularly when peak office hours kick in at 10 o'clock. The situation is, partially normal as far as Gurugram is concerned this morning, though the Met Department has issued a heavy rain alert for some parts of the National Capital Region, including some parts of Gurugram as well. As far as Delhi is concerned, the IMD says that there could be heavy showers between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. So that's going to be crucial. In fact, traffic bottlenecks could be witnessed at peak office hours as well. So that is something to watch out for. Now remember, if we look at other states of North India, including Punjab, there were dramatic visuals that came in from the border areas of Punjab and Himachal Pradesh. Hoshiarpur was completely flooded. These are dramatic visuals coming in from Hoshiarpur, rivers flowing above the danger mark. Of course, the flood threat looms large as far as Punjab and Himachal Pradesh are concerned. But keeping the focus back on Delhi and the capital region. My colleague Tanushka, in fact, is joining us live from Delhi. So, Tanushka, what is the situation? Peak office hours are yet to kick in. The Met Department, though, has said that there could be heavy showers between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. But what is the situation as far as the traffic is concerned, and also the flight situation?
Right now, Vedant, I'm in Safdarjung, which is the main station for the Met Department with respect to, the weather conditions in Delhi. This is where the forecasts are made from. And in Safdarjung, right now, as of this hour, there are no traffic congestion situations. As you can see around me, I'll ask my camera person to pan that side. The traffic movement is free-flowing right now. However, the sky is definitely completely overcast with grey clouds. So there is a possibility of rain, as the Met Department has also predicted. There is a prediction and a forecast of rainfall, moderate to heavy showers today as well as in the week ahead. So what we do know for sure is that between 10 a.m. until 1 p.m., as you also mentioned, the capital will be witnessing heavy showers in isolated pockets, as it has been happening yesterday as well and in the past week as well. This is the monsoon season, but what is important to note is that this is the weather conditions every year at this time of the year. And even then, major stretches of roads are waterlogged. The ITO stretch, for example, gets completely waterlogged with heavy showers. So why is it that, such conditions still prevail? It's not just in Delhi but also in NCR region. Gurugram was completely submerged under the rain conditions yesterday, and even today the rainfall that has been received, at least in the Safdarjung station as of now, has been only of 2.9 millimeters, but later on ahead in the day one can expect more showers. And even for the week ahead, the IMD has given a forecast of moderate to heavy rainfall with expectation of thunderstorm and lightning as well. So these are the weather conditions as of now. There have been flight delays as well from Indigo Airlines as well as Air Vistara due to these bad weather conditions, but no flights have been cancelled.
So that's good news. No flights have been cancelled yet, and good to see the traffic moving behind you, Tanushka, as you report from Safdarjung, which of course is among one of the busiest areas in the national capital. But shifting focus now to Rajasthan, where East and North Rajasthan have been reeling under the impact of heavy rain. In fact, at least 4 people died because of the flood chaos. In fact, a young mother and her child also drowned in East Rajasthan. Take a look at this report.
Rain havoc in Rajasthan. Rivers in Spate and cities like Jaipur, Bharatpur, Dausa and Karoli facing various degrees of waterlogging. Picnic perils. 5 youth who had gone to swim in the Kanota Dam near Jaipur swept away. The SDRF team carrying out rescue operations. Similar scenes in Bharatpur, where 7 youth were swept away in the fast-flowing Bar Ganga river. The gates of the Panchna Dam opened after a heavy influx of water. Old homes and buildings caving in with the rain, leaving 4 people dead in Karoli. Another district that has witnessed heavy rainfall is Karoli. The SDRF team called out in Karoli. Senior district officials reached the city to monitor relief and rescue. Jaipur city faced severe waterlogging. Policemen could be seen manning underpasses, asking people not to venture in that direction as water there could be treacherous. The Chief Minister, Mr. Bhajan Lal, called a high-level meeting of the disaster management force. The CM tweeted, asking people to take precautions during the rain. The Met Department has predicted an orange and yellow alert for the next 24 hours for all districts in North and East Rajasthan. In Jaipur, Harsha Kumari Singh, NDTV. Heavy rain in Rajasthan, especially in the north and east of Rajasthan, has left many districts waterlogged and a flood-like situation. So, for example, in Karoli, Dausa, Savai Madhopur and Bharatpur, there's been heavy waterlogging. In fact, SDRF teams are in Karoli as some villages have been cut off from the main headquarters due to heavy waterlogging. And in fact, if you just see the streets of Jaipur early in the morning, which are otherwise very crowded, you can see that people are really not venturing out in the rain. The streets are largely empty, very few people, very little traffic out early in the morning. In fact, schools have been closed today. There's a rain holiday for all private schools in the city. And also you can see the kind of waterlogging that's happening. So for example, if you just look at the drainage system. This drain actually outside this colony is completely full. A little more rain and the water here could well start overflowing. So faulty drainage has led to water collection in many parts of the city. You can see, in front of shopping malls, establishments, water collecting on the road, which has of course left the road severely potholed. The skies are still quite overcast, so it definitely looks like it can start raining quite heavily again. In fact, there's an orange alert and a yellow alert for Jaipur. Heavy rainfall, and there have been 19 incidents of people who have died due to rain-related, mishaps, especially people who have been very risky and they've stepped into flowing waters or into dams to, step in and have a bit of a, do a little bit of swimming and bathing. They've unfortunately been swept away. So there's been 7 people swept away in Bharatpur in the Ban Ganga, 5 people swept away in Kanota Dam outside Jaipur. The Chief Minister took a high-level meeting yesterday and he said that, he asked people, and he tweeted and asked people all across Rajasthan to be very careful as far as rain is concerned and not take any risks or step into dams and rivers that may be overflowing. Rajasthan has very little water. It's largely a desert state. So people get quite excited when they see heavy rain. But given the situation right now in the north and east of the state, all people have been asked to take precautions. The government is also sending out SDRF teams. The most active right now, of course, the SDRF is conducting rescue operations in Karoli and in other eastern and northeastern districts of Rajasthan.
All right, as North India continues to reel under the impact of heavy rain, the situation is no different down south. Well, in Bengaluru, there you can see those dramatic visuals of waterlogging, inundation, over bridges and flyovers leaking, particularly in the Hebbal region of Bengaluru, which of course is a very important neighborhood close to the airport and also, houses various multinational companies' offices and key flyovers and bridges as well. So this again points to the civic apathy, even in a city like Bengaluru. There you can see waist-deep water, in fact, several open potholes, roads caving in as well. My colleague Pratibha Raman is now joining us live on the phone line. So Pratibha, good morning to you. It's an overcast sky. How is Bengaluru bracing for what seems to be a week-long rain alert by the Met Department?
Well, sir, Bengaluru is not new to this kind of waterlogging. In fact, some of the areas where there is no clear drainage system that is in place, and those are the areas that have been severely affected by it. Time and again, people have been talking about how there are development projects, especially residential projects over the Rajakaluways, which are the main drainage systems here, and especially areas like Silk Boat Junction as well as BTM layout and even the Hebbal flyover, for instance, because those are the places where there's heavy waterlogging at this point in time. And of course, the teams have been clearing the water out of these areas right as we speak. But however, this has definitely caused a lot of slow-moving traffic as well in these areas. And whenever there is heavy rain, Bengaluru definitely becomes extremely crippled as far as its infrastructure is concerned or as far as its traffic is concerned. And these are the two main points of contention as far as the city like Bengaluru is concerned.
All right, Pratibha, thanks very much for joining us with the latest here. As Pratibha is reporting, this is not new for Bengaluru. We've seen similar visuals in the past as well in what has been a drowning Silicon City, particularly in the peak of the monsoon season. And now to our special focus on NDTV this morning. Well, doctors up in arms after the chilling murder of a young doctor inside a state-run medical college in Kolkata. There you can see those visuals of doctors having to take to streets to demand justice for the 31-year-old doctor. She was on duty when she was allegedly raped and murdered brutally inside the premises of the government college. In fact, the autopsy report shows absolutely chilling details, including the fact that her bones were broken, her eyes were injured as well, and that she was raped before being murdered. These are visuals of the accused, who has now been sent to a 14-day police custody. Doctors across the country have, taken to the streets. In fact, the top medical body, the IMA, has demanded, a fair probe into this as well. There was a 24-hour ultimatum that was issued by the Indian Medical Association, and now across cities, resident doctors particularly taken to the streets. She was a PG student, at the state-run medical college, and she was on duty when she was raped and murdered. Are we going to go back to a time when night shifts are unsafe for women? My colleague Tanushka is joining us from Delhi. So Tanushka, what is the situation as far as the Safdarjung Hospital is concerned? It's one of the key hospitals in Delhi. Have doctors gone on strike?
Right, exactly, Vedant. While the city of joy boils in rage right now over this brutal, allegedly rape and murder of this trainee doctor at RG Medical Hospital in Kolkata, nationwide as well and in the capital as well, resident doctors and junior doctors have taken to the streets. They have called for immediate demand for justice in this case, and in view of this they have said that they are going on to an indefinite strike, halting all elective services until there is some sort of an action that is taken. We know that one person has been arrested, accused has been arrested and has been sent into police custody of 14 days. However, the Indian Medical Association has also given out a strong statement in this case and has said, and I quote, that this crime is that of anarchy and insecurity within the system and the medical fraternity. These are some very strong statements that come from the Medical Association, and they also give a 48-hour ultimatum that if and their major three conditions are into an unbiased investigation, a comprehensive report, and in understanding of how is it that a person just walks into premises where they're not apparently allowed to be in. This was in a seminar hall wherein this young woman had gone to catch a break and also catch up on her studies as well. So how is it that a man walks in and commits such a heinous crime? So an investigation into that as well, and definitely a holistic nationwide report and understanding of why and how is it that the lives of doctors are so insecure at this point. A complete probe into the safety of the doctors across the nation. Yesterday as well we saw protests in the form of candle march in the evenings at these Delhi government hospitals at AIIMS and Safdarjung. Even this evening such protests are expected. A candle march is expected this evening as well from the resident doctors. And the Delhi Resident Doctors Association, the Federation of Doctors in Delhi, the Indian Medical Association, all have come together in a powerful display of solidarity in this brutal murder.
This is about the larger issue of rights of resident doctors. My colleague Sarat Gupta is also with us. Saurabh, going across to you, what are doctors demanding and where does the investigation stand at this point?
As far as the investigation, it's now about putting together a case and collecting whatever additional evidence that the police can. What we've learned from sources is that the accused, after committing the crime,
All right, we seem to have lost that line with Saurabh there. But as Saurabh and Tanushka have been reporting, well, this is about the larger issue of our public healthcare system and also the rights of doctors. What about the central law guaranteeing security against violence for against doctors on duty? Doctors are having to take to streets is an absolutely unfortunate and sorry state of affairs. But my colleague Anuj is also joining us now. So Anuj, now the BMC has demanded the suspension of non-emergency services. So that is an important development that has taken place in Mumbai.
It indeed is an important development and you see it will start tomorrow, that is on the 13th of August, and it will be important to see how that kind of reflects and goes around throughout the country, because you see if it is coming from Kolkata to Mumbai and spreading across, it will surely cause a lot of a lot of noise here. But at the moment here I'm joined by a few people, students here at the JJ hospital here in Mumbai, and we'll try to speak to them about what is the kind of, or what is the nature of protest that they are looking at here in the beginning. First of all, may I ask you to just introduce yourself with your name and designation?
Yeah, myself Dr. Aditi Kanade. I am General Secretary of Maharashtra Association of Resident Doctors.
Myself Dr. Siddhant Wag. I am the Joint Secretary of Association of State Medical Intern Doctors.
Myself Dr. Deep Goyal. I am currently as an intern doctor at the JJ hospital.
Okay. Now, what is it that we are doing here today? क्या चीज़ है जो हम लोग आज कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे? आपने कहा कि एक तरीके से प्रोटेस्ट होगा, तो ये प्रोटेस्ट का नेचर कैसे होने वाला है, अगर बस आप हमको एक बार एक्सप्लेन कर दें।
ओके, जैसे कि हम सबको पता है कि जो कोलकाता में ट्रैजिक इंसिडेंट हुआ हमारे सेकेंड ईयर पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट लेडी रेसिडेंट के साथ, तो उसी के लिए हम आज प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं। ये प्रोटेस्ट ऑल ओवर इंडिया चल रहा है। तो एज अ पार्ट ऑफ द प्रोटेस्ट आज हमने सभी ने ब्लैक रिबन हाथ को बांध के हमारा प्रोटेस्ट शो करने का डिसीजन लिया है। और एज वेल शाम को 6 बजे हम एक कैंडल मार्च भी करेंगे हमारे कैंपस में, इंक्लूडिंग ऑल द इंटर्न्स, रेसिडेंट डॉक्टर्स, एवरीवन।
Now if you look at whatever is happening here in the country, क्या आप बता सकोगे कि इस प्रोटेस्ट के थ्रू ऐसी कौन सी चीज़ें जो कि आप डिमांड करना चाहते हो एज यंग डॉक्टर्स, एज समवन हु इज गोना कीप द फ्लैग फ्लाइंग हाई ऑफ दिस प्रोफेशन, व्हाट इज इट दैट यू वांट टू, एक ऐसा कौन सा स्टेटमेंट है जो आप बनाना चाहते हो इस प्रोटेस्ट के थ्रू?
एक्चुअली ये जो घटना घटी वो बहुत दर्दनाक थी और इसके लिए मतलब हम बहुत शर्मिंदा है कि ऐसा नोबल प्रोफेशन में ऐसे चीज़ें होते। तो मैं आपकी तरफ से सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, जो गवर्नमेंट अभी हो रहा है उसको हम डिमांड करते हैं कि जो सिक्योरिटी कंसर्न है मोस्टली डॉक्टर्स के, और कुछ तो कायदा या कुछ आर्टिकल्स आने चाहिए इसके बारे में, और उसके रिगार्डिंग स्ट्रॉन्ग एक्शन लेना चाहिए कि जो भी ऐसा करेगा, क्योंकि ये जो चीज़ है रेप मर्डर है अभी तो डॉक्टर तक पहुंच गई है, तो इट इज़ मतलब नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल एट ऑल। तो मैं आपकी तरफ से यही डिमांड करूंगा कि जल्दी से जल्दी इसके ऊपर कुछ एक्शन लिया जाए और 48 आवर या 96 आवर्स में उसके जो कल्प्रिट है उनको पकड़ में आ जाए। और मैं यही डिमांड करूंगा कि जल्दी से जल्दी इसके लिए कुछ आर्टिकल्स होने चाहिए। और जो सिक्योरिटी कंसर्न है, मैं तो एक डिमांड कर रहा हूँ कि डॉक्टर्स के सिक्योरिटी के लिए एक सेपरेट टास्क फोर्स होना चाहिए इसके लिए।
आप बताइए कि जब से आपने ये जो आज प्रोटेस्ट होने वाला है उसके बारे में जो मैसेज है वो सर्कुलेट किया, तो हाउ हैज़ द रिएक्शन फ्रॉम द अदर फेलो डॉक्टर्स और फेलो इंटर्न्स बीन यहाँ पे? किस तरीके का रिसेप्शन मिला है आपको?
ये घटना बहुत दर्दनाक घटना है। तो मैंने जब ये सुना तो मेरे सारे दोस्त सब प्रोटेस्ट में आना चाहते हैं। आज जो शाम को 6 बजे प्रोटेस्ट होगा, मतलब सब आ रहे हैं। मतलब सबको लग रहा है कि कुछ तो कुछ होना चाहिए, क्योंकि हमारे कंट्री में ऐसी बात है कि एक पॉलिटिशियन के ऊपर शादी एक इनका ड्रॉप गिर जाए तो इतना बड़ा हंगामा होता है। तो ये तो मतलब कि डॉक्टर है, वी आर द मतलब फ्रंट लाइन सोल्जर्स इन आवर कंट्री। सो एक्शन होना चाहिए, जल्दी से जल्दी एक्शन होना चाहिए।
मैम, कुड यू टेल अस अबाउट द काइंड ऑफ स्टेट ऑफ सिक्योरिटी स्पेशली जो कि विमेन डॉक्टर्स के यहाँ पे फेस करना पड़ता है? ऑफकोर्स यू वुड हैव बीन हियर फॉर अ व्हाइल, आप बहुत सालों से इस प्रोफेशन में रहे होगे, तो आपको क्या लगता है कि एक नॉट जस्ट हियर इन जेजे हॉस्पिटल बट ये पूरे प्रोफेशन में एक जो स्टेट ऑफ सेफ्टी होता है विमेन डॉक्टर्स के लिए, विमेन प्रोफेशनल्स के लिए, उसकी क्या हालत है इस वक्त?
See, this is not only concerning the doctors first of all. It happens in India, मतलब रेप तो होते रहता है. So I would say कि not just only lady doctors, it is for all the females. हमको हर फीमेल्स के लिए सिक्योरिटी बढ़ानी चाहिए. मतलब इट शुड बी अ सेफ एनवायरनमेंट. अगर आज ये डॉक्टर्स के साथ हो रहा है, कल किसी के साथ भी हो सकता है. फिर हम अपने अगर फ्यूचर जनरेशन, अगर हम अपनी बेटियों को अगर पढ़ाने भी नहीं भेज सकते, फिर बाहर कहीं जॉब के लिए भी नहीं भेज सकते, तो अभी क्या करना चाहिए? हमने उनको घर में बिठा के रखना चाहिए क्या? दिस इज़ नॉट द सोल्यूशन, राइट? देयर शुड बी स्ट्रॉन्ग लॉज अगेंस्ट इट एंड देयर शुड बी लाइक द वन हु क्रिएट्स द क्राइम, ही शुड नॉट बी लेफ्ट आउट जस्ट रोमिंग आउट देयर.
So basically, as Siddhant said, your demand also would be stronger laws being put in place यहाँ पे.
Yes, of course. हम डिमांड कर रहे हैं कि सेंट्रल हेल्थ केयर प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट जो है उसकी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन जल्द से जल्द हो. उसके लिए एक एफिशिएंट कमेटी बैठनी चाहिए जिसमें हेल्थ केयर वर्कर्स भी एक पार्ट रहेंगे, रिप्रेजेंटेशन रहेंगे, एंड सो दैट इट विल बी अ ट्रांसपेरेंट प्रोसेस, एंड तो जल्द से जल्द वो जो लॉ है, वो एक्ट है, वो इम्प्लीमेंट हो जाए.
Okay. We see the young professionals here at the JJ hospital here in Mumbai are very clear about their demands. They want to make it clear that this action, whatever has happened in Kolkata, needs to be taken seriously and law being brought in place, investigation being done in an extremely transparent way so that, an example is set in front of the entire nation.
So getting us those very important voices there, a lot of outrage, and rightfully so. Of course, the Maha government doctors have demanded a central agency probe. So very important development there. Saurabh is also with us. Saurabh, we lost the line earlier with you. Over to you. Go ahead.
Well, of course, the impact of the junior doctors staying away from work is something that is yet to be felt at the hospital. Though what we can tell you is that this is the same hospital where this incident took place. The third floor of this emergency building has a seminar room, which is where this young lady, this doctor, postgraduate medical student, was resting after, a late night of work. And she had gone there to study also because postgraduate doctors, while they work at the hospital, they also catch up on their studies. And it's a very taxing schedule. It's actually a very punishing schedule because these junior doctors, they're the backbone of, how the system runs. Because a lot of, work at the state-run hospitals, especially like this one, RG Kor, which is a very, very, overcrowded hospital. These doctors provide service, and you can see, of course, there are still posters of we want justice and no mercy to rapists. Now, as far as the investigation is concerned, what we've learned from the police, and we're learning this now, is that the accused also, after committing the crime, washed his clothes to destroy evidence. But sources also tell us that the police have found blood stains on his shoe. And that is something, that is another critical piece of evidence, apart from, of course, scratch marks on his body. But also, this is, of course, an incident that has now led to outrage across the country. The police have arrested the accused. And while, as far as the case and the investigation is concerned, the Trinamool Congress has demanded that it shouldn't take so long for the criminal process to convict, somebody who's accused of a heinous crime like this, especially when there's so much evidence in terms of what, like we've reported earlier, a Bluetooth set that also links the accused to the exact spot of the crime. CCTV footage establishes him at the hospital. The accused is a civic volunteer who had access to the hospital, and the police, of course, arrested him. They say they found bloodstains on his shoe now. So the evidence in terms of this case the police say is very, very strong. In terms of, the punishment, they say they will push for the strictest possible punishment for them. He is, of course, only a criminal. But as far as RG-Kar Hospital is concerned, what you see right now behind me, it might give you a sense that it's a, not a very crowded place, but it is actually a very, very crowded place. This entire place is crowded on any given day when this hospital is, at peak functionality. And, what these students, what these junior doctors are raising is a very important point. This young lady, postgraduate student, had to go to a seminar room to rest and study. They don't have spaces. They don't even have proper toilets is what they say. And this is something that they're raising, that give us, they put in a punishing schedule. It's very, very taxing. Perhaps, one of the most taxing schedules of not only, serving at the hospital, but also alongside, completing your postgraduate education. And therefore, they need these facilities. And what the state government is saying is that this is RG-Kar Hospital. There's a rail line beyond this, and then on the other side, there's a tram depot. And now the state government is considering handing over that tram depot also for the purpose of expanding facilities so that these kind of facilities that the students are demanding can be set up at these hospitals. These are state-run hospitals. They are very, very overcrowded and serve far more number of people than they are built to serve.
All right, Saurabh, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there. As Saurabh is reporting, key details also have now been found in the investigation. But let's take a look at the breaking news coming in right now. Well, Maharashtra government doctors have demanded a central agency probe into the West Bengal horror. Extremely critical there also because the non-emergency services have been suspended by the resident doctors in the government colleges of Maharashtra. Extremely crucial there. Remember, as we saw, our reporter Anuj was showing us how those resident doctors are wearing black bands on their t-shirts, on their, in fact, their aprons, given the fact that, there's absolute outrage as far as the medical fraternity is concerned over the Kolkata horror. A young doctor was allegedly raped, brutally murdered inside the premises of this government college. Where does the buck stop? What about the safety of our doctors? And with that, we'll take a short break now, but news continues on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Rain brings parts of North India to a standstill. Waterlogging across North India. Crackdown on the situation in West Bengal. Well, one person has been arrested and a probe has been ordered. This as doctors up in arms over the Kolkata horror. Well, the stunning end to the Paris Olympics with 6 medals in our kitty. India ends its Olympics campaign.
Get the magic of the best working for you now.
Link your payment cards once, collect rewards forever.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One World Hygiene.
Hi, I'm Shreya Saran. Kerala's Wayanad area is hit by devastating landslides, resulting in loss of lives and livelihood. Kerala needs your help right now. Let's join NDTV initiative. Come, donate. Let's rebuild Wayanad.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News App. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
Landslide devastation in Kerala's Wayanad. Join NDTV's initiative. Donate for Kerala.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One World Hygiene.
Hi, I'm Shreya Saran. Kerala's Wayanad area is hit by devastating landslides, resulting in loss of lives and livelihood. Kerala needs your help right now. Let's join NDTV initiative. Come, donate. Let's rebuild Wayanad.
Welcome back. You're watching Good Morning India, and the big business story this morning. Well, the Adani group has categorically rejected Hindenburg 2.0, as it were, calling malicious, manipulative and a bit to malign the image of the conglomerate. Well, I remember the Hindenburg report alleges some sort of complicity on the part of the SEBI chief in the controversy that was pointed out in Hindenburg 1.0. Well, the SEBI chief has rubbished the report. In fact, SEBI has come out with a statement as well. The market regulator has urged investors to exercise due diligence and stay calm. This was a statement yesterday night ahead of the market opening. In fact, the SEBI chief herself has said that this is an attempt at character assassination. 361, which is one of India's top wealth management firms, has also come out with a statement denying all allegations. In fact, the SEBI has also said that all allegations against the Adani group have been duly investigated. Top business leaders, economists have all rejected the Hindenburg report. In fact, Mahesh Jethmalani, who's a senior advocate and also a member of parliament of the BJP, says that this Hindenburg report was a damn squib and this is a bid to malign India's image. And in fact, he's called on to the government to actually take action against what he calls anti-India elements. Take a look at all the reactions that have come in.
Hindenburg as an entity has no credibility at all. We have seen their first attack more than a year ago. They picked on the Adani group. I had an occasion to see all their charges because I was involved in that case. The matter went to the Supreme Court. The authorities looked into it and ultimately found nothing, and that case was disposed of.
And joining me exclusively on NDTV, senior advocate Mahesh Jethmalani, also a senior member of parliament. Thanks very much, sir, for being with us. You have called Hindenburg 2.0, as it were, a damn squib and an attempt to destabilize the markets.
Yes, it is, because there's nothing new at all. There's a regurgitation of the old allegations, right, which have been discredited in the Supreme Court and dismissed by the Supreme Court, right? If you see the first two paragraphs are based on some money laundering of some over-invoicing of import equipment which has been imported into India and overvalued. Now, if that matter was based on a DRI initial report, right? The matter was considered by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said the DRI final report has exonerated any over-invoicing on the part of the Adani group. The matter went to the CSTAT, the appellate tribunal from the Commissioner of Customs. They have also dismissed it. It went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court dismissed it. And they tried to rehash it before the Supreme Court in this SEBI inquiry matter, which was finally dismissed again. And the Supreme Court said that the material which you are relying upon is all either old, stale, which has been considered and dismissed, right? Or it is based on third-party organizations with no credibility and no corroboration by anybody.
In fact, you also made an important point in your post that it's in fact the short seller, Hindenburg, which is in the dock, given the fact that SEBI had sent a notice to Hindenburg, and instead of responding to the notice, it's come up with a new report, which as many call a hit job, and also the fact that it lacks intellectual rigor, as top economists put it.
It's a lightweight. I mean, this is not worthy of any reputed research analyst. This is a complete speculative job. I mean, it's based on complete innuendo and a flight of imagination. To do this, first of all, SEBI was directed by the Supreme Court to find out that in view of the massive retailer investor loss caused by the short sale episode, whether there was any violation of Indian law. Pursuant to that, it issued this notice to Hindenburg to ask the circumstances of the short sale and find out if it could detect any illegality. I mean, one obvious illegality was that Hindenburg itself was not allowed to do this kind of thing because it was not a research analyst registered with SEBI. It couldn't do it, right? But it did so anyway. That's a flagrant violation. Instead of replying to all these things, they started targeting SEBI. They started targeting the chairperson of SEBI, Mrs. Booch. So they ran away from the question. They hedged and dodged the questions. And they did a straight attack, the kind of thing which you have in the Supreme Court by a certain group of people, led by a certain group of lawyers who every time they lose start casting aspersion on the credibility of the bench. So this is what they've done now. Now, when you have nothing to say on merits and facts, you attack the umpire, in this case, SEBI.
And moving now to some tragic news coming in from Bihar's Jahanabad, in which 7 people have died at a stampede at a Siddheshwar Nath temple in Jahanabad. At least 9 people are injured is what the latest is. There you can see all those visuals coming in. In fact, the stampede took place late at night. Now the security has been enhanced there outside the temple as well. Listen in to what the police had to say.
पे डीएम साहब भी आए थे, एसपी साहब भी आए थे और वो सब विजिट कर रहे हैं, सब जगह देख रहे हैं कि कहाँ पे क्या क्या ये व्यवस्था है कि सारे लोग यहाँ पर पहुँचे हैं, नाम पता का हम लोग उनके परिजन से मिल रहे हैं, सत्यापन कर रहे हैं, उनका फिर विधिवत सम्मत जो भी पोस्टमार्टम होगा हम लोग करवा रहे हैं। अभी हमारे पास 7 है।
All right, in fact, my colleague Prabhakar is now joining us live. So, Prabhakar, what is the latest that you're picking up? Has the death toll gone up? What is the situation?
No, fortunately not. The death toll stands at 7 and around 10 people have been injured, we are told. As of now, the situation on the ground has been contained by the local administration. They are there in full force and they have regularized the crowd which was gathered here in large number. Remember, this is a Sawan, month of Sawan. This is supposed to be auspicious month, especially in the states like Bihar, Jharkhand and UP, especially in this part of the country. And during this month, the people do worship the Lord Shiva temples, and especially on Mondays, there's a huge rush, huge rush. And at this particular temple, that is Siddheshwara temple in Jahanabad, we were told that people were queuing outside the temple since 2 in the morning, since night they were standing in the queue, and the local administration knew very well that there would be a huge crowd out there because that happens every Monday. Monday happens to be supposed to be a auspicious day for the worship of Lord Shiva, and that's the reason why they all throng to the Shiva temples. This is one of the well-known temples in the vicinity, and the people were gathered there in large numbers. So the local administration was supposed to make adequate arrangements, right from deputation of forces over there, regularizing the crowds, crowd management. It was all supposed to be there. There is a SOP laid down for that, but that probably was not followed. That actually led to this unfortunate incident. We are told that this stampede broke out because there was a clash between one of the devotees and the local shopkeeper over there, and they clashed, and it finally led into a commotion, chaos, and a stampede situation where 7 people lost their life, around 10 who have been injured. They have been rushed to the local hospital, and the situation as of now has been contained by the administration.
All right, Prabhakar, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there. As Prabhakar is reporting, well, the situation has been contained there, but unfortunately 7 people have died in Jahanabad. But moving now to the other big headline, well, a crucial hearing in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court may pronounce an order on K. Kavitas' bail plea. Remember, former Chief Minister KCR's daughter was arrested in connection with the liquor policy case. She is accused to be one of the main faces of the alleged South group of the now withdrawn liquor policy. Now remember, earlier the Delhi High Court had denied bail to her, saying that it seems that she is one of the main conspirators as far as the liquor policy case is concerned. Though, of course, some hope for K. Kavita, given the fact that the Supreme Court gave bail to Manish Sisodia and also invoked the precedent that bail is the rule and jail the exception. My colleague Uma Sudhir with the latest.
Yes, indeed. Kavita's family as well as the party that she represents, both of them very hopeful that things would turn for the better after the relief that Manish Sisodia, former Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, got from the Supreme Court in both the Enforcement Directorate as well as the CBI case. What we understand is that this is item number 63. It's expected to come up in the Supreme Court at noon today, and her husband as well as both her sons, we are told, are in Delhi, hopeful of some positive developments from the court. But procedurally speaking, what we expect is that it will come up in court and the notices may be issued to the agencies, and then it may come up for arguments possibly even next week. So immediate relief possibly may not happen in this case. Like you mentioned, the Delhi High Court and before that the Special Court, Trial Court had in fact not given her bail, and the Delhi High Court had made quite strong observations saying that she can't be given a relief that otherwise women can expect because she's a very influential person. They claim that she's the key conspirator in this case. They even claim that 292 crore rupees of assets is what they say that could have been part of the proceeds of crime, as they put it. And they had given arguments saying that being an influential person, an MLC, the daughter of the former Chief Minister, she could influence witnesses. K.T. Ramarao, who is her brother as well as the working president of the BRS, has argued saying that long incarceration even after a charge sheet does not make sense, that once the charge sheet is done, what it means is that the investigation is completed, and whatever the investigating agencies had to say on the case would also be would already be put in the charge sheet. And therefore, like in Manish Sisodia case, he has quoted that and said that they are hopeful, because the apex court has in fact said it is it is bail which should be preferred and not jail. Bail, not jail, is something that is spoken about very often, and the arguments given in that particular case by the Supreme Court, saying that they in fact opined that the speedy justice is being denied because of the delay in trial. That same arguments can be applied in the Kavita case as well, is what Mr. K.T. Ramarao has also been saying that after the Supreme Court's pronouncement in the Manish Sisodia case, they are much more hopeful. And yes, it's coming up before the same B.R. Gavai and K.V. Vishwanath, and therefore reason for hope, and we expect that the case will come up in court today around noon. Back to you.
And moving now to some tragic news from Maharashtra. Well, in Kalyan, a 13-year-old has killed himself, reportedly after he was harassed in school by his teachers and students. Absolutely unfortunate there. Listen in to the reaction that has come in.
हम लोग क्या भाई काम पे संडे को चले गए थे, और भाभी और मेरा भतीजा भी स्कूल का मीटिंग बेस्ट में चले गए थे। तो मैं भी मीटिंग के लिए जा रहा था, भाई का फ़ोन आया। भाई काम से आए, जब भी घर पे लड़का लगा दिया था फांसी, फ्रिज में कुछ चढ़ के। तो कुछ सुसाइड नोट लिखा? हाँ लिखा है, मिला है, और पुलिस के पास है। वो पुलिस सर भी हम लोग को दिखाए नहीं पढ़ने के लिए, जो है उनको मालूम है उसमें क्या लिखा है। वो न्याय मिलना चाहिए। एक टीचर का नाम है, और बच्चे लोग बहुत तंग कर रहे थे इसके लिए।
And my colleague Radhika Ramaswamy is now joining us live. Radhika, absolutely tragic there, a 13-year-old boy allegedly dying by suicide. What do preliminary reports suggest?
Certainly, absolutely tragic. A 13-year-old boy allegedly committed suicide in his residence. In fact, this incident happening on Sunday evening when his parents were not at home. He hung himself and left a suicide note as well. Of course, suicide note is key in this case, because in that he has said that he was in fact under certain pressure from teachers, that he suffered harassment from the hands of teachers as well as a few students in his school, which is what led him to take this extreme step. So at this point, of course, investigations are underway. Our police is trying to understand what kind of harassment he suffered. Was he bullied? Or what did the students, in fact, do to him hours before the incident, perhaps, or days before the incident? So that is under investigation. At this point, of course, an ADR, an accidental death report, has been registered. But will this be converted into abatement after a thorough probe as to what led this, little boy to take this extreme step remains to be seen. At this point, of course, preliminary investigations pointing at the fact that he hung himself to death, and that he, in that suicide note, has pointed at him having undergone, harassment at the hands of teachers and students. Of course, they will be questioned thoroughly in order to understand the circumstances surrounding the death. Will it lead to any sort of arrest? That is a matter of investigation.
All right, Radhika, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there. Absolutely unfortunate. He was just 13 years old. But moving now to, well, the Paris Games, and India's campaign at the Olympics has come to an end, and it was a stunning closing ceremony as well. Well, as far as India's performance is concerned, we have 6 medals in our kitty, 1 silver medal and 5 bronze medals. Though, of course, the suspense over Vinesh Phogat's silver medal continues after the top global sports court had delayed the verdict. In fact, that verdict is expected on the 13th of August, that is tomorrow. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi also took to social media platform X to congratulate our contingent at the Paris Games, also saying, I wish them the best of luck for their upcoming endeavours. And moving now to the incredible story of 22-year-old Aman Sehrawat, who has now become the youngest Olympic medalist, the youngest Indian Olympic medalist. He won that bronze medal in that incredible wrestling bout. In fact, he took to his social media as well to say that it's hard work and dedication that is key when it comes to a victory of this sort. In fact, he also had a conversation with Prime Minister Modi. Listening to what Rika Roy, my colleague, spoke to with Aman Sehrawat.
अमन, बहुत बहुत मुबारकबाद मेडल के लिए। एक बार मेडल आप सबको दिखा दीजिए क्योंकि इंडिया में सब आपका मेडल देखना चाहेंगे। ये अमन शेरावत का मेडल है, ब्रॉन्ज मेडल, एंड दिस इज द 6th मेडल फ्रॉम द पेरिस ओलंपिक गेम्स इन छत्रसाल स्टेडियम। अमन, सबसे पहले तो ये बताइए कि क्या मानसिकता लेकर आप आए हुए थे? आप 21 साल के हैं, सबसे यंगेस्ट इंडिया के ओलंपिक मेडलिस्ट हैं, क्या मानसिकता लेके आए हुए थे?
यही लेके आए थे भाई, ओलंपिक में मेडल जीतना सोच के तो गोल्ड किए आए थे, पर जो हुआ अच्छा होगा। मतलब आगे अभी जो ये कमी रही है, अभी अगले ओलंपिक में जो 28 में नहीं रही, पहले से तैयारी करके आएंगे।
मतलब इसने आपकी हंगर को और बढ़ा दिया है?
हाँ, मतलब सभी ऐसे कहते थे भाई अभी इस ओलंपिक से अच्छा तो 28 में मिलेगा, फिर मैं इस ओलंपिक में मेडल दूंगा। तो फिर मतलब वे कह रहे थे 28 में, तो 28 में अच्छा रख करेंगे।
अच्छा अमन, एक चीज़ बताओ, कल बाउट के बाद आज भी आपका बाउट होना था और इस बीच वेट काफ़ी इंक्रीज हो गया था। क्या किया आपने पूरे रात? अपने वेट घटाने के लिए भी कुछ किए हैं?
कुछ नहीं थी, बहुत कुछ के। मतलब पहले तो बाउट खत्म हुई, फिर 2 घंटे प्रैक्टिस करी, ख़त्म होते ही यहीं फिर जाके 1 बजे वहाँ पर जिम में करी विलेज में, 3 बजे जाके कहीं वजन आया, फिर नींद तो आए नहीं आई, फिर तो मतलब वजन ही दिया। मेन टारगेट तो ऐसा था भाई, वजन लाना है बस।
ब्रॉन्ज मेडल बाउट से पहले आप सोए? बिल्कुल नहीं सोए?
सोए तो जी 8-9 तारीख को तो कभी 1 मिनट भी नींद नहीं आई है। कुश्ती की चली हुई थी एकदम, मतलब सोने की कोशिश करे जब भी भाई कुश्ती में क्या रहा कि कैसा क्या हो।
अच्छा, एक आखिरी सवाल कि आप बहुत छोटे से छत्रसाल स्टेडियम में हो, आपके माँ बाप नहीं रहे, लेकिन कोई फैमिली मेम्बर अभी याद आ रहे हैं, किसी को आप ये मेडल डेडिकेट करना चाहते हो, दिखाना चाहते हो घर वापस जाके?
करना तो जी गुरु जी और मेरे सागर भाई हैं जो मुझे स्टेडियम में संभालते हैं, तो उन्हीं को दिखाना चाहता हूँ मैं। ये मैंने जीत लिया, ये आपकी मेहनत थी।
आपके लिए हम सब बहुत बहुत प्राउड है और वाकई में वो भी बहुत प्राउड होंगे। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
What an inspiring story there. He is all of 22. Well, that's all the time that we have on this edition of Good Morning India. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Brings parts of North India to standstill from north to south. Rain mess across the country. Crackdown on terror in Jammu and Kashmir, the third back-to-back encounter in just 24 hours. Exchange of fire in Udhampur as well. A nationwide protest by resident doctors over the chilling murder and rape of a 31-year-old woman doctor in Kolkata. With 6 medals in our kitty, India ends the Olympics campaign. 5 bronze medals and 1 silver medal, though the suspense over Vinesh Phogat's silver continues.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News App. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Hello and and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, is that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
Landslide devastation in Kerala's Wayanad. Join NDTV's initiative. Donate for Kerala.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
Hi, I'm Shreya Saran. Kerala's Wayanad area is hit by devastating landslides, resulting in loss of lives and livelihood. Kerala needs your help right now. Let's join NDTV initiative. Come, donate. Let's rebuild Wayanad.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News App. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, is that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
Landslide devastation in Kerala's Wayanad. Join in.
Short seller Hindenburg has attempted to mount another hit job on the Indian equity ecosystem yesterday, with the SEBI chairperson Madhvi Puri Butch at the center of their latest attack. The suspense they hoped to build up was apparent with the first cryptic tweet from the short seller, where they say, "Something big soon, India." Now, the something big turned out to be a punctured attempt at trying to equate investments made by Madhvi Puri Butch and her husband Dhaval Butch in 2017 with their previous hit job on the Adani group. The crux of the allegation is Madhvi and Dhaval Butch invested in a fund run by IIFL, now called 361 WAM. This same fund features in Hindenburg's previous allegations against the Adani group. So do 2 plus 2 make 44? Clearly not. What's even more flimsy in these latest allegations is drawing a connection between the SEBI chairperson's investments in 2015, when she had nothing to do with SEBI, and her current investigations. What's even more bizarre is that there is no attempt to hide the fact that Hindenburg is upset with a show cause notice handed to them by SEBI in June and is retaliating to it with this personal attack. It also becomes clear that Hindenburg is doing what it does best, taking short positions in the Indian market and then creating circumstances for the market to fall, essentially manipulating Indian investors for their own gains. The question is, has this round of the Hindenburg hit job been punctured? Well, the latest hit job clearly is done to avoid answering SEBI's show cause notice. These are some of the big questions that we're asking today. Allegations have been punctured by Madhvi and Dhaval Butch's response. That's very clear. Also, we're asking, why should a private citizen's investments be questioned? Remember, Madhvi Puri Butch has had a long and very fruitful career in the private sector. What she does with her money as a private citizen, why does it come into the picture right now? Where is the link between 2015 investments and current investigations? Isn't this a desperate attempt to spook Indian investors for Hindenburg's gains? Now, here's how we're going to explain it. My colleague Vishwanath Nair joins us in this special conversation. And Vishy, let's just look at two sets of statements that have come out in the last 24 hours since the first set of allegations came in. And let me just tell our viewers, we're going to break things down for you factually. So you take a look and come to your own decision. Let's look at the latest statement issued by Madhvi and Dhaval Butch and what 361 WAM has said. Put that in conjunction with what Hindenburg's allegations are. And their allegations are essentially, you invested in a fund which we claim was used to cover up some funding by the Adani group. So two entities, one fund.
Yeah.
How does this get punctured?
Right. So as these statements, we go through what the statements that 361 as well as Madhvi Puri Butch and Dhaval Butch have released, and the point about this investments and funds and them being used here and there, right? Now the allegation is that Madhvi Puri Butch and her husband invested in a fund, which then invested in some other fund where Vinod Adani was allegedly participating, and this is the connection between the two sets of people, right? So the first response to that Madhvi Puri Butch as well as 361 have claimed is that they have never in the history of this fund was active between 2013 and 2019. In that period, they've never invested in any Adani group-related equity, any bonds, any derivative instruments linked to the Adani group. That's one thing that they're making very, very clear. First and foremost, they point out, Madhvi Puri Butch as well as Dhaval Butch point out that they invested in this IP Plus fund simply because Anil Ahuja was managing that fund, and Anil Ahuja is a close friend of Dhaval Butch, and that's why they went ahead and invested in their money into this. Much before, at least a month before Madhvi Puri Butch is appointed as whole-time member at SEBI, she transfers all the ownership of this entire investment to her husband's name, because that is what typically executives do. Whenever they are appointed at an important government position, they will not hold any direct interest in any kind of major financial investment, simply because these kind of questions can be raised in the future. The other point is that in 2018, when Anil Ahuja left IP Plus, when he left 361, at that point in time, they diluted their holdings. They took their money out of this fund because the money was kept there simply because of a childhood friendship. And since that friend was no longer an employee of the fund, there was no reason to continue with the investment. The other important point here is that this 361 statement clearly clarifies that at its peak, this IP Plus fund had an AUM of about $48 million, of which 90% was invested in bonds. So there was no question of any equity investment that is happening through this fund in the period that this fund was alive. You know, a lot of the allegations were also pointed at Dhaval Butch's employment by Blackstone, and that Blackstone had at some in some weird fashion had gained because of Madhvi Puri Butch being SEBI chairperson. Now, his appointment happened before she became a SEBI chairperson. So it's not like Blackstone knew beforehand that this person's wife is going to be SEBI chairperson, so let's appoint him at our company. The other part is that she has maintained clear distance from any kind of REIT investigation, REIT-related regulation and investigation. These clarifications have already been provided to all relevant authorities. These are all part of the statement that these two individuals have put out now.
Okay, so these are all of the statements that have been put out. But you know, you have to see this as part of a bigger sort of pattern. Why is this coming up now? Why Madhvi Puri Butch at the center of these allegations at a time when she has been hitting the headlines for taking a tough stance as a regulator against a whole host of stakeholders in the Indian capital markets? The latest being what's happening with derivative volumes. Is that why she's at the center of all of this? Sanjay Asher, senior partner at Crawford Bailey, joins us on the show. I'm speaking with Sandeep Ghosh. He's a current affairs commentator and business leader, and someone who knows Dhaval Butch very, very closely, has worked with him as well. Vikas Khemani, founder of Carnelian Asset Management and Advisors, joins us today. We're speaking with Jay Anant Dehadrai, advocate in the Supreme Court, and also Sunil Subramaniam, market veteran, speaking with us. I'm going to focus on the markets aspect of it first. Let me come to Vikas Khemani and Sunil for this, because remember, this has all come out over the weekend. Monday, the markets are going to open. And if you look at what's happening in markets otherwise, the handover from global markets has been quite positive on the Asia front as well as the US front. All things considered, it's a good setup for Indian markets. We saw that happening on Friday. Vikas Khemani, is this something that you see impacting markets come Monday morning?
Tamanna, first of all, I think, I strongly, sort of condemn what Hindenburg has done. I think it's a completely propaganda-oriented, release they have done, completely baseless and trying to manipulate the facts to just establish a chaos in a market. I'm sure, Hindenburg has lost its credibility many times. You announce first day something is coming on India, then you could come something like this. And if you read the press release by the chairperson, it's clearly there are facts which are there. Just because you invest into a fund does not mean that there's some quid pro quo, and it's very clean. I mean, around that, if you can create some narrative, it just clearly shows the intention of the people who release behind that. And I think it is not new to us. We have seen this time and again happening. And it's a high time, in my opinion. Of course, I'm 100% sure that markets won't react at all to this tomorrow. So you can be rest assured on that. That I have zero doubt on that. But more important point I want to make is I think if we have to put rest to these kind of agencies or these kind of firms which have no stake in India or have a vested interest in India, we have to stop doing these kind of shows and giving importance to them, credence to them, saying that what you say matters. It's just a mess. More and more we discuss about, talk about it. I think these kind of people get credibility, and they just keep on releasing baseless and stupid these kind of narratives, and which I think, in my opinion, is just targeted. So I completely don't agree that there will be any impact on the markets tomorrow. I think it will be normal, if at all. I think, and markets have time and again shrugged off what's happening in the Western world. India is a great story, and I again want to say this one thing very clearly. Our regulators, they have done far, far, far better job than any regulator around the globe. I think we are on a governance standard. People who talk about governance everywhere else, I think Indian regulator has done a great job on the governance, improving our governance over the last 10, 20 years. And I can tell you, we are one of the most advanced regulated market in the world, whether it is, same-day settlement to AI-driven surveillance. I don't think any market can boast of the kind of infrastructure we have built, the kind of transparency we have built, governance structure we have built. And despite that, a nefarious agency just comes and makes some stupid comment, and we look up and start questioning our own system and have discussion around that. I think it's a high time that we stop this. And that's the only way to, I think, take away credibility from firms like this.
Vikas, think about it this way: markets really don't care about sentiment. They look at what is expected to happen. They make very clear business decisions, or decisions based on the facts in front of them. If markets do react negatively to this tomorrow, and it's possible that they could initially, Hindenburg makes a ton of money. If you look at Hindenburg's statement, the end of it says very clearly that anyone reading this should assume we have short positions. We do that before every report. They did that before the earlier report as well. So a negative opening for the Indian markets tomorrow makes Hindenburg and its clients rich, isn't it?
So markets will prove them wrong tomorrow. You see tomorrow that I think markets will clearly ignore that because there's no base in this. I mean, it's just a clear, agenda-driven stuff. So when somebody is doing, it's like, let's say, if I'm short on a company and I just start creating something, people will give credibility to me once, twice, and then people will be clear that I'm an agenda-driven guy, and hence my credibility will be lost. And I think after this, in my opinion, Hindenburg has lost its credibility completely, and the firm has lost its credibility elsewhere as well. But in India, I think it's lost credibility completely, and you will see tomorrow how markets will completely put this aside, and it might go up and down of its own, but for sure not because of this reason.
A huge statement from Vikas Khemani coming in. Vikas, I hope you will come back tomorrow and you will speak to us. And I hope the Indian investor proves you right and proves Hindenburg wrong. But just stay on with us for 1 second. Sunil Subramaniam also joining in. Sunil, you've looked at all the conversations, you've looked at all the statements. I want to ask you, do you see any merit in the allegations?
No, I think that prima facie, it doesn't seem to be, it's more like a witch hunt rather than a factual thing. I think that it's a reaction to the show cause notice, and they want to, I wouldn't say divert the attention, but I think that they want to protect their client list. You see, what happened in the previous Adani disclosure that they did, their clients couldn't make much money. And remember, this Hindenburg thing, they are neither a non-profit nor are they an investor protection company. Okay, the main thing is to make money for themselves and for their clients. The shots they take, they're supposed to disclose. And SEBI's show cause notice also says that they have not done the proper disclosure of the shots, and they want a response for that. Besides this, their customers would have also, see, when the beauty of this whole thing is what, when they release the report, before that, they would have given the intimation to their customers to take positions. And then the report gets released, the market reacts, that's when they make money. So I think that this is a bit to restore their credibility, that help their customers make money by releasing some news which can create some kind of a panic, and hence their customers can take short positions and make money off it. So to me, after having read the Hindenburg report as well as both two disclosures by the SEBI chairman, I'm convinced that this is more like kind of a defense, just putting up a defense to divert the issue. The main thing is they still have not replied to the show cause notice on the previous matter.
So that's an important part. They haven't replied to the show cause notice. Vikas, I want to come back to the first thing you said in your statement about how this is really an attempt to shake up the faith of investors in Indian markets. I mean, just on Friday, you've had the highest SIP contributions in the history of Indian equities at 23,000 crore rupees. The number of households who have reposed faith in Indian equities is larger than ever before. And then something like this comes in. Now, there are two ways of looking at it. One is that, of course, if there is any concern in the system, we should address it, right? And the other one is that this is a concerted attempt at attacking that faith.
There are two issues. If you ask me 10 things, I will tell you what to do in improvement in our system. That's a very different thing. I'm not saying our system is perfect. We will have 10 issues. But all I'm saying is that, this is not something done with the right agenda or no intention. It is vested interest driving the agenda. I think markets have moved much beyond that. Our markets are far, far more matured. I think Indian investors have expressed the faith in Indian markets over last decade, and it is only getting better and bigger. And SEBI has done a fabulous job in protecting the minority shareholder, retail shareholder, their interest through various mechanisms, regulatory framework, transparency, disclosure, governance, So I have no doubt that Indian markets are very, very robust. We have best systems, right? So, let's not link again two things. I think Indian market story, we will keep improving. We are not perfect. We will keep improving. We will do much better. We are much better than many other markets. My only limited point is that don't connect these two things. We can have a separate discussion what we need to do to improve our Indian markets and Indian regulatory system. That's a very different conversation. But somebody coming and highlighting that our governance standards are poor, SEBI chairperson is conflicted, we are not doing it. And this is all complete baloney in my opinion. I think one needs to be just ignored. And I think markets will ignore it tomorrow.
Yeah. what to do tomorrow now is a question that we must answer for our viewers. Sunil, for people watching who are wondering what is going to happen in the market, should they go long, should they go short, what should they do when there's volatility, what is your advice?
Oh, I would say to both an SIP investor and to a mutual fund investor, there's no need to panic. Individual equity stock investors, to the extent that they have been buying stocks based on fundamental approach, not a technical based approach, I would say any correction in their holding, they should add to it tomorrow, because good quality stocks have all become very expensive over the last years, 2 years, because of the liquidity flow. And any correction there means you're getting good quality stocks at a cheaper price. So any correction, they should buy good quality, fundamental, sound stocks. At this stage, mutual funds, they will obviously act with caution, and they will continue to buy good quality stocks when there's a correction. So buy on dips is the strategy which will play out well. And I think that this episode, we will soon overcome it. And hence, long-term investors should not panic. If they have free liquid cash, 1% or 2% of their cash they can actually deploy when there's a correction, but make sure that you're buying good quality businesses. That fundamental factor one shouldn't forget even in this time, because there are some things which ran upon technical which could correct far more sharply, but they shouldn't jump in to buy that which has corrected a lot, but rather buy good quality companies even if they don't correct that much.
Vikas, same question to you. What should investors do tomorrow if there is volatility on markets opening?
And I think keep doing what you should do normally. I agree with that. If it falls for this reason, buy, no doubt. And anyway, India is in one of the best transformative phase. I have no doubt about it. India will create unprecedented amount of wealth over the next 8-10 years. And hence, any correction opportunity for this reason or any other reason, which are these kind of emotional or sentimental, I think must be used to buy and invest into. Of course, you need to do your work on the stock research sector. I'm not doing it, but in general speaking, I think any such correction, if it comes because of these kind of reasons, is a great opportunity to buy.
The Hindenburg gets singed if their report is ignored. Vikas Khemani and Sunil Subramaniam, thank you. I'm speaking now on the legal angle. Sanjay Ashar, senior partner, Crawford Bailey, with me on the show. I'm also speaking with Jay Anant Dehadrai, advocate in the Supreme Court. Sandeep Ghosh also, of course, with us. Jay, let me start with you, and thank you for joining in. Now, just prima facie, looking at the set of allegations and looking at what SEBI's own policies and regulations say, is there a case to ask Madhvi Puri Butch for more transparency, more rigor, more details today? Is there any merit at all that you see from any angle in what Hindenburg is saying?
Tamanna, firstly, thank you for calling me on your show. And if you just give me a moment, then I'd just like to frame it a little differently. There was a problem with the audio, so I didn't have the benefit of listening to your other very distinguished guests. But I will tell you this, that this entire issue has already gone to the Supreme Court once. There has been a massive inquiry that took place under the stewardship of a former Supreme Court judge, one of the most respected, Justice Sapre. They found nothing wrong. They returned that report, the Supreme Court accepted it, and this was sometime earlier this year. And please remember, the first Hindenburg report came in January of 2023. So if anything, Indian investors, those holding Adani stocks, and I want to make this very clear as for full disclosure, I hold no brief for the Adani group. I don't even own a single share of Adani, so it makes no difference to me. But I will tell you this, that tomorrow when markets open, even from a layperson's perspective as a lawyer, I can tell you that this is a storm in a teacup. There is absolutely no material, no merit in this so-called report which I've read, which tries to, on the basis of innuendo and insinuation, tries to paint the Butch couple as though they had some conflict of interest or that they were involved with the Adanis. I don't think there is any merit to it at all. In fact, even the Supreme Court, and I must point this out very vehemently, I must say this, the Indian Supreme Court is extremely robust. And we've had, in fact, I have appeared myself in a public interest litigation against a large automotive component manufacturer, in which the Supreme Court directed an ED and CBI inquiry, and it turned out that there was a 30,000 crore loan scam that had taken place. So you have a very robust judiciary that is at play here, and they're not afraid of anybody. There is no fear or favor here. So if there was any material that the Hindenburg chaps had, which had any which if it had any credibility, they should have come to India, filed a criminal complaint, gone to SEBI, and if SEBI had not acted, then they should have filed a PL and come to the Supreme Court. So what do they do now? This entire exercise is aimed at destroying reputations, right? The whole objective is to somehow or the other destabilize the Indian economy, and perhaps for political gain and for monetary gain. We already know this. I mean, after all, these are short sellers. These aren't some good Samaritans who are trying to help the Indian economy. So when they failed on the first occasion, right, when they targeted a particular company, it didn't work, the charges didn't stick, Supreme Court gave a clean chit. What do you do then? Then you come back around the second time, and then you attack the institutions. You attack the regulator itself. And I read those. I mean, when that the whole build-up to it was so sinister, Tamanna. I mean, if you read that tweet that they first put out, as though this is the launch of some blockbuster film, they say something big is coming. Why create this ridiculous sensationalism? If you have something meritorious, come out and put it out, give it to the investigating agencies, come to India, file a case. But you have these individuals who have been discredited, who are in fact facing an inquiry themselves by SEBI. What do they do in reaction? So it's like, when we were kids and, your teacher said something and said that you performed poorly, you would go back to your parents at home and you'd say, well, it's the teacher's fault. This is exactly what these people are doing. They have no love for the Indian investor. They are trying to profit off the misery of Indian investors. And if you really ask me, I think it is also the failure of Indian investigating agencies. They're letting down Indian investors. They should find out who these short sellers are, identify them. There is a provision under the SEBI Act, under Section 11, and there are very distinguished corporate lawyers on this panel, and they will agree with me. Under Section 11 of the SEBI Act, you have the ability to disgorge those profits which someone has made illegally. So now the question really that I ask myself is this, that why don't the Indian investigating agencies do a proper full-fledged inquiry and find out who the main actors abroad are, who are orchestrating this entire, scam, I would call it a scam, and figure out who the allies are in India who are trying to gain either monetary or political profit out of this entire, this scam. And this group has no credibility in my mind at all. And tomorrow morning, I have no doubt that this will amount to a storm in a teacup. The Indian investor is an extremely, extremely incisive being. They understand what report is legitimate. They understand which allegations are motivated. So I frankly think there is going to be zero impact on this tomorrow on the markets, and let alone on the Adani stock. And I do hope that our agencies expose these people who've made money or who are trying to make money in this really malintentioned way. So from the legal perspective, just to sum it up very quickly, from the legal perspective, Tamanna, I can tell you with great confidence, I've seen that report. It's just innuendo, trying to throw mud at people's reputations. And there's absolutely no merit or meat in those allegations at all. I mean, I had put out a tweet yesterday in which I had said that no court in the world, anywhere in the world, which has any credibility, would even take cognizance of such material if it came before it in the form of a complaint.
Right.
So what do? You sit on the East Coast, you sit in the US, and you put out this report, you sensationalize it, and you hope that there's a big dhamaka that takes place in India Monday morning.
Right.
So I think these people need to be prosecuted.
Right, Jay. This is Vishwanath joining in. I want to bring it back to the point you mentioned earlier. This case or these allegations against Adani Group have already been debated to death in the Supreme Court. Does a report like this, which brings that discussion back and then points fingers at the people who are actually investigating that matter, doesn't that also sort of try to play people against the Supreme Court's own decision-making?
You ask an excellent question. And the answer lies in the chronology of what transpired after the first Hindenburg report came out. Please look at it like this. The report comes out. There is Supreme Court doesn't say that we will not look into it. They appoint an expert committee. The finest minds in India who understand security law are recruited into this committee, including judges, one former judge of the Supreme Court, with unimpeachable integrity. Everything is gone into threadbare, into great detail. And they come back and say that there is nothing amiss. Now, please look at what happens right after. And therein lies the answer, where the malintention is, which I referred to earlier. After a clean chit is given, Hindenburg keeps completely quiet. In fact, I think their investors must have lost money, gone after the principles of Hindenburg. And now, with their tail between their legs, they come back with another ridiculous innuendo-laden report. And I'll tell you where my, disgust comes in as an Indian. More than any individual company or, targeting a person, this is an attack on India's institutions, as though we are some third world country where, we have to listen to some, colonial style power, which will tell us how to conduct an inquiry or tell us about the health of our corporate governance structures. We don't need to. We don't need lessons in corporate governance from these individuals.
If I were to, okay, I get your point completely. But if I were to even look at it this way, that we are a system that wants to be robust, wants to constantly improve, and I'm going to bring in Sanjay Asher here, and we need to understand this very clearly legally. At the end of the day,
before you go to Mr. Asher, if I may just say one thing very quickly. Tamanna, the point is, of course, there is always room for improvement.
Yeah.
But it has to come in the form of some credible material. You just can't make, you can't pass off innuendo as high quality evidence or material and then expect the courts or the regulator to unleash a fishing and roving inquiry, because it serves the political agenda of a few people in India, and it fills the pockets of certain short sellers sitting in the US. It can't be on that basis. Right?
The thing is, the important thing and the crucial thing is that who is really going to suffer? There's politics, there's innuendo, it'll all go on and on. Think of the Indian retail investor who gets hammered by all of this, who has no voice, who has no union, who has no vote bank for any political party, and no one thinks of them.
I disagree. I have a slight difference in opinion there, which is that the Indian investor is a very smart creature. You can try and fool him once, you can't fool him twice. And I don't think this second time around, this report, nobody is going to buy into Hindenburg. It's lost all credibility. They kept quiet for the longest time after their claims were debunked in the first round of investigation. Supreme Court gave a clean chit, they kept quiet. Now they've gone and dug up something which has absolutely no head or tail. There's no evidence of any wrongdoing, any favors, nothing. And they come and try and make these, long short connections.
I'm going to take that point. Sanjay Asher, evidence of wrongdoing and favors. At the crux of the allegation is this attempt to say that there is some favor, there is some, kind of reason why SEBI is not investigating in the direction that Hindenburg wants, and it's because there was investment in this one particular fund. Does this make for any kind of a case? Because as per their own paperwork that they've put forward, the Butch couple, Madhvi and Dhaval, have not even made money on those investments. They've come out of it. This is, I mean, if this was a favor, this seems to be like the worst favor possible, just on the basis of what the allegations are.
To my mind, what they have done, the Hindenburg guys, is ludicrous. It's not ridiculous, but it's ludicrous. They have absolutely made a very, very failed attempt to try to paint SEBI or the chairperson of SEBI in a very poor light. Unfortunately, this is not going to hold water even to a layman. And I must say that there has to be a system whereby somebody, and the Butch couple should file a defamation suit against this Hindenburg institution. They have painted them black, and rather they made an attempt to paint them black, and without doing any diligence, without bringing out proper facts, and the facts are also absolutely incorrect facts. Number two, even in the first time around when the report had come out, I had stated that, look, it's high time that before a report, there has to be a discipline to the institution which is coming out with the report. And just in case, if that particular report turns out to be factually incorrect, then there has to be a huge fine and huge penalty should be imposed on that particular institution. Now, one would argue to say that how can you govern somebody who is sitting in the US and writes a report on Hindenburg? But we need to find a way out as to how do we penalize them and how the regulator puts some element of penalty on this Hindenburg report. And thirdly, you touched upon the small investors or the individual investors or the retail investors. As Jay articulated and as Vikas also articulated, they are very smart. They are absolutely on the top of everything. And there have been enough litigation initiated by the small investors. And I won't be surprised if there would be plethora of petitions filed in several courts against Hindenburg for the purposes of misdirecting a common man, misdirecting even the institutional investors, so on and so forth. So to my mind, there is nothing at all in this particular report, and surely they should be penalized. Okay. And as Jay articulated, it's just a Tom in the teacup.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate with Sandeep Ghosh. Let me play devil's advocate with Sandeep Ghosh, because Sandeep, in our chat before the show, you did tell me that you know Dhaval very well. So, one section of viewers today will say, oh, Sandeep is biased. Everyone is biased. So, if I were to play devil's advocate, I would ask you that for a position like SEBI chairperson, there should be completely above board. Is there any question of whether this was just a coincidence? Why have they invested here? Why aren't they giving a conclusion that the guys who wrote the Hindenburg report want?
See, as far as that is concerned, I think their second statement today was Dhaval and Madhavi have set out, and Dhaval has explained how he went into it with his, who was managing the fund, his school friend, etc., and how they got out of it. It was done much before, and how they got out of it as soon as Madhavi was taking over this responsibility. I think those things make it absolutely clear. Everybody understands that this is a very, very long shot and a very tenuous case that Hindenburg wanted to build up to divert attention from their main thing. Is it, using a language which Anand and our legal colleagues lawyer colleagues would be using, admitting without, accepting without admitting, if assuming this was true, how does it detract from the original, Heidelberg's play with the short selling and the rest of it, and all the other acquisitions were there? It is like almost today, as Anand again very rightly put it, is you get caught in some offense and then you point at the policeman saying, oh, the policeman was looking the other way at one time. So that is, very frivolous. I think the larger points which come across, see how people were just simply waiting for this thing to be published, and the next moment, a lot of politicians just splashed their statements even before the country had woken up. And you find the whole bunch of people jumping into the fray and moving away from the substantive issue of what Hindenburg did or didn't do, and piling onto a Madhavi and a Dhaval Butch and asking for the scalp and the head. So this all shows, I think, very, very, sordid intentions. Now, for a moment, but what, as Anand was saying again, I am intrigued by, look at the amount of resources and energy which has been put into digging into stuff, trying to dig out stuff, dirt out of their records. They have accessed Madhavi's Gmail account to get something. Now, what is our investigating agencies doing? There has been so much of evidence which has been put in public domain by various people. Now, why haven't they been able to progress on it in this time? And that is what I think is disheartening. Today, we are unfortunately in a situation when I said on your other channel earlier, it's a no-win situation for the administration. People first go to Supreme Court. If Supreme Court gives a judgment against the government, everybody says, oh, Supreme Court is great. And if they don't get a favorable judgment, then you come out and then you try to create another controversy or something to just, derail that judgment and make that questionable. And I think this really points out to a larger conspiracy which goes beyond any individual, beyond even the current government. I think it is a conspiracy against India's economic rise and the clout and how our stock markets have been doing investment. And that is where I think that the country has to wake up. I'm not taking any political sides. It's not can be nobody's case that investigation should not be done, even if, despite what Dhaval and Madhavi have said. By all means, do an inquiry, but you cannot make them the fall guys and, make them the martyrs or scapegoats of this situation, then how will you attract the right kind of talent into these institutions? And I think this
just on that point, Sandeep, just on that point, how do you get the talent in these institutions? There's a lot of chatter today about what Madhvi Puri Butch's salary is as the SEBI chairperson. I mean, she has had a 30-plus year of experience, worked in some of the highest positions in corporate India and in corporates around the world, in Singapore as well. Really, this is someone who cares about what happens to the capital markets, who's coming and doing this job. The fact is that Madhvi Puri Butch is the first woman chairperson of SEBI. I'm sorry, I'm adding that angle because I think it's part of it. No one likes strong, aggressive women who have made large parts of this market stand up and take notice.
See, and what Madhavi, as Dhawal said, they are very cleverly putting up a designation called Chief Procurement Officer as if he's some purchase head somewhere. He was a supply chain head of Unilever. First, he was the manufacturing director in India. Then he moved into Unilever. That's a huge position. And you earn, the kind of money. They don't need these kind of small changes. And, on a lighter note, since you did mention, I know Dhawal from a long time, we were the same batch, we joined as management trainees and leavers, but coincidentally, Blackstone was brought into the picture, and partly for education or entertainment of your listeners, I'll say Blackstone was brought into India by Akhil Gupta, who was a management trainee in Hindustan Lever, though a very close friend of the Ambanis. He set up Blackstone in India. India Infoline, which you're talking about, was actually founded by one of our younger colleagues who was also a management trainee in Levers, Nirmal Jain. And now you're trying to rope in Dhawal. Apart from Dhawal, a lot of our other colleagues went on and advisors to Blackstone and many other, but they don't go and decide on investment, for heaven's sake. They are taken on there as advisors for their particular domain expertise. Somebody goes there for his marketing expertise. Anand Kripalu, who was the chairman of Diageo, and gets on the board like that. Sudhanshu Vats gets into it for his media expertise. Dhawal has got into for his. That is, people understand this. So how crazy it is for people to, try to make this tenuous dots and say that, oh, how could he have got into Blackstone?
No, my question is, why would any professional come and face this hassle to help the Indian equity markets? You'll get on with your life. You don't want to be in the limelight. I have to take a Jay wants to come in. I have to take a short break. But Jay, I'll just get your point on this.
Quickly, I just wanted to say this. I agree with what Mr. Ghosh has said, but I have a slight difference of opinion on one thing. If you have a motivated party coming in from the US, which just wants to do profiteering, you can't simply on the basis of innuendo even launch an inquiry, which is what I said earlier, that certain individuals can have a perception. On that perception, you cannot launch a fishing and roving inquiry, and the Supreme Court has held this in multiple cases. We have one unfortunate incident where there's already been a full-fledged inquiry. Now, after that inquiry is already done, we've restored investor confidence. Now, this malicious actor wants to come back. Now, besmirch the reputation of, our institutions. I don't think we should give in to it. Unless there is some credible evidence or material, there is no question of any inquiry or investigation. Why should they be put through it? This is a classic witch hunt, and we should object to it. We should push back.
It is a classic witch hunt, but who really is the target? I'm going to take a very short break and we're going to talk about it. A lot of conspiracy theories. Is there any reality to this conspiracy theory? Is it part of a huger picture? What does Hindenburg really want? Is it only about short selling and profits? We're coming back with all of that after this very short break. But as we go into the break, just listen in to what J.N. Gupta, former executive director of SEBI, said about the allegations.
When the first Hindenburg report came, people got into panic mode and they reacted. As a result, most of the Adani staff suffered badly. But about 15 months down the line, I think, since I do not follow all those stocks, so I think most of the stocks have recovered all that they had lost, and maybe some have gone beyond that. That is one. Second, when it came, they talked about Kotak again, there was a minor impact, but then that impact has also died down. Now, these two experiences are enough for any market person to understand that these are all reports without any substance, aim to cause sensation, aim to cause loss to people, and people should safeguard themselves from such people and not get into panic.
Get the magic of the best working for you now.
Link your payment cards once, collect rewards forever.
Hi, I'm Sarat. Kerala's Wayanad area is hit by devastating landslides, resulting in loss of lives and livelihood. Kerala needs your help right now. Let's join NDTV initiative. Come, donate. Let's rebuild Wayanad.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News App. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
Now, a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
Landslide devastation in Kerala's Wayanad. Join NDTV's initiative. Donate for Kerala.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections.
Alright, you're joining this special show on NDTV Profit. We're talking about the Hindenburg hit job, and really, has it been punctured? Minhas Merchant, author, editor and publisher, joining us now on the show. Mr. Merchant, pleasure to speak with you, and thank you so much for your time. I'm just trying to understand. I'm just trying to understand what Hindenburg has tried to say in its round 2 of a hit job. Now, if a investigative journalist got you this story as an editor, what would you say? And really, just on the fact, because they're two separate set of facts, right, which Hindenburg has tried to link and tried to turn it into a big conspiracy.
That's right. Now, Tamanna, as an editor, and I've had 2 media companies and hired hundreds of editors, the first thing you do when an investigative report comes in is to fact check everything. And as far as Hindenburg is concerned, they're not journalists. They're basically money makers. They are short sellers. And they've been doing this for a long time. They're a small unit of 4 or 5 people. Now, the direct trigger for this particular second round was SEBI's show cause notice. Went to them in the end of June. They received it in the first week of July, the 1st or 2nd of July. And, the show cause notice by SEBI is about how Hindenburg, before and after the publicly released report, the first report, which was released in January of 2023, just before that and after that, they started trading in Adani Group shares. So they shorted the shares before the report was released, which is the worst kind of insider trading. Then they released the report, the damaging but unsubstantiated allegations. And then they bought, obviously, at a cheaper price and made a profit. They did not expect SEBI or anyone else to question them. What is the source of your information, the allegations? Finally, the Supreme Court rubbished everything in January of this year. There was a complete clearance given, and not many people know that as far back as December, Tamanam, you're with me? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, go ahead, Mr. Merchant. I'm listening to you.
So as far back as December of 2023, the American government looked at these Hindenburg allegations for about 11 months, from January to December, and gave a loan of $553 million to the Adani Group, $500 million to the Adani Group for the container port in Sri Lanka. And they said clearly that none of these allegations have any particular relevance. So Hindenburg, after it was served the show cause notice about a month and a half ago, they said, oh, how dare SEBI, a third world regulator, question us, we Anglo-Saxon moneymakers. This is our birthright. We're supposed to short sell. We're supposed to do insider trading. There's a long history of Milton and so on and so forth in America. America was built on this in Wall Street and outside Wall Street.
Mr. Merchant, let me come to the show cause notice by SEBI to Hindenburg, because that seems to be the latest trigger of it. Now, what Hindenburg is saying is that we have a standard disclosure that we're short sellers. What else does SEBI want? And they seem to be extremely upset at the show cause notice, right? Hence, this whole sequence of events. So just explain that to us, yes.
They want evidence. All the allegations that they made about the Adani Group complicity, with Vinod Adani, etc. They want hardcore evidence, and Hindenburg, okay, they said we are thieves. That's not really a defense. We are short sellers, and that's it's a disclosure that we make, that we are in it to make money, even if it harms others on the basis of no evidence, not on the basis of good evidence. So it went to the Supreme Court after the SEBI investigation. And the Supreme Court, which is not particularly well inclined towards anybody in this government, in the current business dispensation, and so on, came to the conclusion, as we all know, that no, there's no merit in these allegations. So the show cause notice was basically SEBI telling them that, look, Supreme Court's looked at everything. Now we want you to tell us, not that you disclose that you're a money-making company and you sell short and you disclose it. That's no excuse. But tell us your evidence. And that's what got Hindenburg upset, because they don't have evidence. The Supreme Court said they have no evidence, which is substantial. And this triggered the reaction. Within a month, they got an anonymous whistleblower with all these allegations, which came out yesterday. And they basically were counterpunching, because they didn't expect SEBI to get after them with that show cause notice. That was an insult to them. They tried to bring in the Kotak angle in the first week of July, as soon as they got the show cause notice, saying, oh, the K Opportunities Fund had been mentioned, not Kotak himself, because there's complicity, SEBI, it's all scratch my back, etc., etc. It's India, third world country, and they.
It's also about Hindenburg giving the information of their initial report, the first short selling report, to their clients before they release it publicly. So you've allowed your clients to take short positions in advance.
Absolutely. This is the worst kind, as I said about 4 minutes ago, the worst kind of insider trading.
Yeah.
And just saying that, oh, we are insider traders, is like a thief saying, look, I'm going to rob your ATM.
Right.
You better be there, vigilant. And because I disclose that I'm an ATM thief, once I do the thieving, it's okay. That's what they're saying, basically, that kind of, analogy. short sellers.
It puts it down well. Thank you so much, Minhaz Merchant, for joining us and putting it in that perspective. Now, clearly, this has become a political issue. I mean, you have to look at the story from so many angles. It impacts Indian equities. It impacts the ecosystem. Of course, it impacts the retail investor and those who've put their money in SIPs, in mutual funds as well. But it also has political ramifications. Listen into some of the political reactions coming in today.
सदन के साथ हिंडनबर्ग की रिपोर्ट, जो कि स्वयं भारतीय जांच एजेंसियों की जांच के घेरे में है, जिस ढंग से जोड़ने का प्रयास विपक्ष ने किया है, उससे एक बात बहुत साफ हो गई है कि ये 7 समंदर पार कौन से स्वर उठते हैं जिसके कि ये ताल मिलाना विपक्ष के लोग यहाँ शुरू कर देते हैं। पिछले कई वर्षों से हमने देखा है कि जब जब भारत में संसद का सत्र शुरू होता है या चल रहा होता है, उसी समय विपक्ष से कोई रिपोर्ट आती है। हिंडनबर्ग की पिछली रिपोर्ट जनवरी 2023 में आई थी, बजट सत्र से ठीक 1 या 2 दिन पहले। उससे पहले आप याद करिए, बीबीसी की डॉक्यूमेंट्री बजट सत्र से ठीक 1-2 दिन पहले आई थी। उससे पहले रिलीजियस फ्रीडम वाली एक रिपोर्ट आ गई थी। उससे पहले आप याद करिए, किसान आंदोलन के ऊपर टिप्पणी आ गई थी। उससे पहले कभी ग्रेटा थनबर्ग का बयान आ जाता है। तो मेरे विचार से ये शक बहुत गहरा हो जाता है, और अब जो विपक्ष के मुंह से निकल गया है, इसका मतलब उन्हें ये पता था या उन्हें आभास था कि सत्र के दौरान ही ऐसा कुछ होने वाला है।
फैलाना, देश को विवादित मामलों में उलझाना, प्रधानमंत्री जी एक मशाल लेकर, भारतीय जनता पार्टी का एक एक कार्यकर्ता एक मशाल लेकर देश को विकास और प्रगति के मार्ग पर चला रहा है। कांग्रेस केवल भटकाने की कोशिश, अंधेरे में रखने की कोशिश, जो उनकी पद्धति रही है इतने वर्षों से, उसी पद्धति पे कांग्रेस चल रही है।
Obviously expect this to become a huge political issue, and it will continue as it is. But Sandeep Ghosh, let me come to the conversation that we've been having about whether there is something larger to this story. And I'm not one who loves conspiracy theories, to be honest, but there seems to be a pattern in what Hindenburg is doing. Is it profit? And some of the people I've been speaking to since morning to understand this issue clearly also says that, look, at the end of the day, they're short sellers. This is their job, right? To make money for themselves and their clients. That's what they did the first time round as well. Is this about profits? Is it about short selling, or is there something more to it?
That's the point, Tamanna. I think we'll be letting them go quite easy if we just explain that, oh, they're short sellers, they've been doing it elsewhere and they're making money. But you see the amount, what I was mentioning earlier, the amount of effort they're investing in this, the kind of, concerted, it's almost orchestrated things, and FT filing reports simultaneously, different, other, whether it's media or other agencies, then politicians jumping onto the bandwagon. It seems much larger than the bare, a short seller trying to make a quick buck in a market and go away. And also the point, Hindenburg, a lot of people say, why is Adani not suing them in the US? We all know the kind of immunity they would enjoy over there, and the fallouts of such a litigation and where they really get. But why is Hindenburg therefore afraid of a show cause notice issued by SEBI? Instead of answering that, they're deflecting the whole issue in another direction. And as I said before, even if we assume for a minute that there are certain, anything of conflict of interest or the other thing is established against Madhavi Puri Bhuj, but does that in any way absolve Hindenburg for all the things they have done in the short selling market and how they manipulated the Indian stock market, caused humongous loss to people while some of their clients have made money, and all of that which they've done, if assuming, as I said, if there is a minor aberration in what, technical aberration in what Madhavi and Dhawal may have done.
So Sandeep, just to understand clearly, short selling is not illegal, right? But to create a situation where your short positions become lucrative by causing fear and questions, is that where the question really is? That you are first taking a short position and then you're trying to create the circumstances for that short position to really go through, because it's a bet, right? When you go short or when you go long, you're taking a bet.
And when you are manipulating everybody else to get the market down so that you can make that money. That is what they're manipulating the market through those innuendos and misinformation or whatever is coming out, and that's how you're doing. So that's where the criminality lies, and that's precisely it. But precisely what you are saying, by just simply calling them "quote unquote" short seller, you're actually making it light, saying, okay, there are short sellers in the market. There are so many short sellers, as if that's nothing unusual. If somebody is clever, they can do that. But this larger economic, mischief, fraud, or whatever you want to call it, that is not getting highlighted. And now you're deflecting that for something as petty as this, which I'm not for a moment saying is correct. Means correct in the sense the facts are true, but people will just get deflected. So that's why today you see nobody will remember those days when they Madhavi and Dhaval had sold a thing, their stakes in IIFL, what IIFL did or not did. People will not get these are the facts which will get blown up, and the entire issue will get diverted.
This is what happens. Kuch to hai. People, the facts are too tedious. The point is that the facts are too tedious. We've tried to put them out in this show, and I hope that people will listen to it and come to their own conclusion. But the thing is that facts are tedious. People go by the innuendos, and they find comfort in saying, "Acha, kuch to gadbad hogi."
My trip, therefore, Tamanna, I don't want anybody to take sides. Everybody doesn't have to support a Madhavi Boch or an Adani for that matter. But stick to the facts and argue on the basis of the facts. And I'm talking here about professionals, people who are in your trade, who understand these aspects of, the markets, or whether it's financial. Let them stick to the facts instead of they are, spreading innuendos. Why shouldn't she resign? Why is this happening? And that is unfair, I think. Ask whatever the right questions, ask for inquiry.
We live in a world of loudspeakers, and everyone has one in their hand because of social media. That's absolutely fine. All facts, all opinions and comments should be there in the public domain. But don't confuse an agenda with what the facts are. And, that's something which everyone needs to find out for themselves. We've tried to make things clearer in this program. Thank you so much, Sandeep. Thank you to all our guests who've joined us today on the program. We'll wait and see what happens in the Indian markets tomorrow when markets open. And of course, if you want to be on top of all the news and advice on what to do in the Indian markets tomorrow, you need to be with us on NDTV Profit.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Hi, I'm Sarat. Kerala's Wayanad area is hit by devastating landslides, resulting in loss of lives and livelihood. Kerala needs your help right now. Let's join NDTV initiative. Come, donate. Let's rebuild Wayanad.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News App. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number. If you want to be a national party,
is that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Rishika Barua. Let's take a look at the top headlines that we're tracking this Monday morning. Doctors across the country are up in arms after the chilling Kolkata murder. Nationwide protest by resident doctors across top hospitals. Protesting doctors are demanding a CBI probe and the Central Protection Act to be put in place against doctors immediately. NDTV, meanwhile, reinstates the Safeguard Our Daughters campaign after the young doctor was killed on duty. Continuous rain for the last 2 days brings parts of North India to a complete standstill. Gurugram was flooded. Rajasthan flood has killed 19 people so far. Arvind Kejriwal moves the Supreme Court seeking bail. He's filed a plea in the top court once again against the High Court order after relief to Manish Sisodia in the excise policy case. Will there be relief in sight for Arvind Kejriwal? The Hindenburg report, Adani's have rejected the charge, called it a red herring. The Adani group has claimed that no commercial ties with the SEBI chief, as has been alleged in the Hindenburg report. They've termed it a contempt of Indian law. The market regulator SEBI has also rebutted the Hindenburg charges. SEBI has appealed to investors to stay calm, said there has been no investment from any fund in the Adani group. That's what the SEBI has said, saying that the allegations against the Adani group will be duly probed. Key meet over attacks on minorities in Bangladesh. The Bangladesh government head MD Yunus has decided to meet Hindu students. The focus will be on protecting Hindu community against in Bangladesh. Well, our top focus story continues to remain the protests that continue to rage across medical colleges across the country, with resident doctors now up in arms after a resident doctor was in fact brutally, allegedly raped and murdered at Kolkata's RG Kar Medical College and Hospital. This, of course, has affected services not just in this hospital for a third consecutive day, but now resident doctors have demanded the suspension of all all elective and non-emergency services across Maharashtra, and similar reports coming in from the national capital as well. Hospitals in other parts of the country, other districts of West Bengal have joined in protests as well as, with doctors across the country in a certain sense. Government doctors have said that OPDs will be suspended. All non-emergency services, all elective procedures will lie in abeyance until and unless the doctors' demands are met. Doctors essentially are demanding a central agency probe into the matter. Doctors at the moment are also demanding that there should be the Central Protection Act that needs to be brought into place in order to ensure that no other doctor is met with this plight. So, of course, while there are protests that have erupted in Bengal, there are protests that have erupted across the country as well. Meanwhile, I also want to apprise our viewers of just how shocking this entire case has been. Chilling details continue to emerge. It's a story that has once again really shaken the conscience of the entire nation. The body of a 31-year-old doctor raped and murdered on duty at the RG Kar Medical Hospital in Kolkata. She reportedly had multiple injury marks, which all point to a violent assault. She was bleeding from both her eyes. She was bleeding from her mouth. There were injuries over her face, nails, private parts. The victim, remember, was a postgraduate trainee of chest medicine and was on night duty when the incident took place. Her body was found on Friday morning at the seminar hall of the hospital. One person has been arrested in connection with this crime. The opposition has targeted the Mamata Banerjee government over the incident at the state-run hospital. The Trinamool Congress has responded saying they will leave no stone unturned in order to ensure strict punishment to the perpetrators, and of course said that it is open to central agencies investigating this. But like I said, this is one of those cases that has really spiraled and has had a domino effect in a certain sense, with protests that are taking place not just in West Bengal but also in different parts of the country. Joining me on the broadcast, we have Anuj, who's reporting from Mumbai at the moment, and Saurabh, of course, who's reporting from the hospital in Kolkata. Thank you both very much for joining us. Saurabh, I want to begin by asking you first. This is an absolutely shocking case, and some of the details of the chilling murder that you have, brought to the fore have once again shaken the conscience of the entire country. Give us a sense of what is happening, A, as far as the investigation is concerned, and B, what are the scenes at the hospital where this incident has taken place?
Well, let me take that one by one. Firstly, the investigation. Where is the investigation? The accused has been arrested. The police have multiple pieces of evidences. Amongst them, what we know is that a Bluetooth headset that was recovered, that has been connected to the accused. The second thing, of course, is also, there is been CCTV footage around the area where the accused was seen, again, establishing his presence around the scene of crime. Thirdly, the accused washed his clothes to destroy evidence, but the police have found blood marks on his shoes, again, a crucial piece of evidence. What is the, investigation? How is the investigation proceeding? Well, the police are tying up all angles to produce a foolproof case, is what they say. They say that they have, also the list of injuries that this young medical student suffered. If you see that list of injuries which we reported yesterday, that is quite shocking. The kind of severe injuries that were inflicted on her, clearly shows that not much has changed perhaps since 2012 in this country. But obviously this is a shocking case where this accused had access to this building. On the third floor of this building is the seminar room where this young professional and also a postgraduate student was studying at night, and she should have been secure here, but she was brutally raped, sexual assault, of course, and murder. Now, of course, students and, of course, at the RG Medical College and junior doctors have, ceased work. The emergency is functioning in a skeletal manner, and also what we happened is that there is the protests that are taking place. What is also happening is that the non-elective and non-essential medical, procedures aren't really taking place with these protests that you can see that are taking place at the hospital. Now, there are a lot of young women who are part of these protests as they happen across the country, but also at RG College, Medical College and Hospital. The principal of the Medical College and Hospital has resigned. He said that above all, before his position, he's a guardian. He is the guardian of that young student as well. So he has resigned, and of course, he has said so. The superintendent has been removed. Also, what we know is that, there is a relook at how the premises can be secured. What the state government is saying is that they're looking at handing over extra land, or at least the land belonging to the Belgachia tram depot, to the RG Medical College and Hospital to improve facilities. Now, the basic problem lies with the state of public health care, where there is too much pressure on very little space and very, few doctors. And these junior doctors really have a punishing schedule. They work late into the night, come in early in the morning. This student was also catching up on her studies. But let me get in a word from some of those who are protesting here and hear what they have to say. Why this protest? क्यों ये protest आज आरोपी को गिरफ्तार किया गया है? और सरकार कह रही है कि देखिए जो करना है वह उसको कड़ी सजा देने के लिए करेंगे। तो आज ये प्रोटेस्ट आप लोग क्यों कर रहे हैं?
हम लोग सेफ्टी डिमांड कर रहे हैं कि हम लोगों का वर्क प्लेस में जो भी सेफ्टी इशू है कि कोई भी आके हम पर हाथ उठा देते हैं, तो हम लोग ये सेफ्टी डिमांड कर रहे हैं कि आज उनके साथ हुआ है, कल हम लोगों के साथ भी हो सकता है। तो हम लोग सेफ्टी डिमांड कर रहे हैं और जो लोग असली कल्प्रिट है उन्हें पकड़े।
सुरक्षा की डिमांड है बिल्कुल। And that is the overarching sentiment and overarching demand from all these people who are protesting here, all these medical students and nursing students who are protesting here. What they're demanding is security at the workplace, which is a very basic demand. Hardly anything out of the way. A very basic demand that should have been in place, not not being considered after an incident like this. But yes, the demand is very basic, is what these students are demanding, which is safety and security at the workplace.
Absolutely, and this is a complicated and a complex issue because, of course, the motive behind this incident, the motive behind this gruesome rape and murder is still unclear. We don't know, if the accused was in any way, if this was in any way premeditated, or whether this was just, one of those cases of a woman vulnerable because of her workplace environment or because of unforgiving working hours and schedule, like you're saying. But Tanish Punjabi joining us from Lucknow, Tanushka Datta joining us from New Delhi. Anuj, I'm going to come back to you in just a moment because I can see, at least behind Tanushka, there are some very dramatic protests that are taking place at the moment as well. So Tanushka, this is one of those stories that has resonated with doctors across the country. It's resonated with women across the country. It's really shaken the conscience in a certain sense of the country once again. But put the focus squarely back on the safety of our doctors. Give us a sense of where you are and what is happening there.
Resident doctors are protesting right now against the issue that erupted in Kolkata. Let us see if we can get talking to one of them. Ab hame batao, we understand that you're asking for CBI inquiry and justice, but what apart from this, as a woman doctor yourself, are your demands?
2 to 3 days back, I had night duty and this had already happened. So usually I was feeling very safe at night duties, but at that day I didn't rest in my duty room because I was feeling unsafe. And I was feeling unsafe while going from one ward to another during the night. So if I am unsafe in my own hospital, which is a second home for a doctor, if I am unsafe in a metro city like Kolkata, in a duty doctor room, so what kind of security is this and where have we reached as a society? So the society has gone to its lowest, and a doctor, a female, a human has been raped and has been murdered. So we are not going to stop. We are not going to allow Nirbhaya Part 3 because it's already Nirbhaya Part 2.
There are some pertinent questions raised here by one of the resident doctors here. Let us see if we can get talking to more doctors here. Hi ma'am, if you could tell, all right. So, doctor, आप हमें बताएं, you're asking for a CBI inquiry here and for justice as well. But इसके अलावा और क्या मांगे है आपकी?
हमारी मांग 3 है. फर्स्ट तो वहाँ का जितना भी मेडिकल कॉलेज का स्टाफ है उस सबको रेस्ट्रिक्ट किया जाए, परमानेंटली उनको हटाया जाए, पहला डिमांड. सेकंड डिमांड है कि सेंट्रल प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट 2022 उसको लागू किया जाए. थर्ड डिमांड है कि हम लोगों को जल्द से जल्द फास्ट ट्रैक बना के न्याय मिले. ये 3 डिमांड है और जब तक ये तीनों चीज़ पूरी नहीं होंगी हम लोग स्ट्राइक कंटिन्यू करेंगे.
Right. So these are some things we are understanding from the doctors here. You also tell us, how does this, put into play here with respect to the security of doctors? You guys are here saving other people's lives. What about the safety of you guys? And this happened in Kolkata. In Delhi, how do you put this into the purview?
Previously, like last month only, we had a firing in the GTB hospital. It was an open fire and the patient was shot dead in front of all the hospital nurses, doctors itself, right? Here also, RML also is facing the same issue. Initially, we used to have bouncers for our security. Now we don't even have proper guard system over here. There are around 5 to 7 MLC cases happening against the doctors, against the patients, everything. Every month, 5 to 7. So if our safety is into consideration, we can't provide proper care, right? Like our parents are staying far away from us. For girls, especially for girls, right? So they are also worried. We are put on 36 hours duty without a proper security, without proper room in fact. We have to look for rooms here and there. So that is, I think, our needs are pretty basic. We want security, along with we are supporting for the thing which is happening.
Thank you so much. So these are the resident doctors who are raising pertinent questions about the safety and security, as you know, the basic needs that one has, not just in a hospital area but anywhere for that matter. These are women doctors, young doctors who are working the night shifts. And how is it that a man walks in at such hours unchecked and is called and is not called upon or stopped by either? Hello, आप हमें अपना नाम बताएं?
Dr. Yash Dikshit.
Right. And in this protest, we understand, of course, about this heinous crime that has happened, but we know that, you're asking for a CBI inquiry and for justice, but in RML or in Delhi hospitals as well, what is the security scenario here?
Ma'am, I am telling you, we have faced this issue many times. It is that the first time it is coming into the light. We, as residents here, we are doing duties for 24 hours, 36 hours. At night time especially, we have no security guards. We have no security personnel, and we have been thrashed by attendants of the patients themselves, and we have faced a lot of issues. And we have put forth many of our demands, many a times in a course of, I guess, 1 or 2 years, for which I am here. But we have not got any response from the officials, from the authorities. And this is a wake-up call for all of us. So that is why we are here. We are putting forth our demands, and we want that Central Protection Act, this is the first demand for ours. It should be enforced as soon as possible, and I guess everyone is relating to us, all the doctor fraternity and everyone, general public also will be relating to us that it is a high time we make our voices clear.
Thank you for that. So that's what we're understanding from the resident doctors here is that they're asking for a Central Protection Act as well, and the central laws to come into play as well with respect to this murder and alleged rape of this resident doctor that had taken place in Kolkata.
All right. Well, doctors, they're, highlighting problems across hospitals. This is not a Kolkata story alone. You just heard the doctor from Delhi. They're articulating how they do work unforgiving shifts and they do work at odd hours. And, especially in the night time, the security systems aren't as robust. They don't have the kind of security systems in place. Neither do they have that kind of surveillance in place. So this is a story that has happened in Kolkata but really resonated with doctors across the country. Let's go right across to Tanish Punjabi, who's joining us from Lucknow at the moment. Tanish, are doctors in Lucknow saying similar things? What's happening there? Break it down for us.
Well, Rishika, I'm sorry I was unable to hear your question. There is some audio distortion. But again, I would like to tell you I am at KGMU, Lucknow. This is one of the most prominent medical colleges, and similar demands from the residents doctors here. They are holding a protest march. I would like to show it to you. The protest march that has just started. And of course, the slogans demanding justice in what happened, the horrific crime that happened in Kolkata. So basically, three main demands: swift justice, immediate CBI investigation of the matter, and prosecution of those responsible of the crime. Apart from that, the second main concern is, of course, the enhanced security and implementation of robust security measures in all the medical institutions across India. So, of course, these are the doctors holding protest. We'd like to speak with some of them over here. आप लोग की मेन डिमांड क्या है? क्या कारण हुआ कि आज सारे डॉक्टर्स को प्रोटेस्ट पर उतरना पड़ा इस हादसे के बाद?
We just want safety and security that we can serve our patients. और जो आरजीकर में हुआ है, we want a fast track court and proper justice without any political and administrative bias. यही चाहिए बस.
One of the main issues that is being raised is कि female security की बात आ रही है ना? यहाँ पे जो female doctors जो रात को भी यहाँ पे रुकती है, उनको लेकर आप क्या कहते हैं?
There are no securities, especially tertiary care center like this. We are not getting any securities. Think of what will happen to those doctors who are working at primary care centers and community care health centers. It is like a point to think about, ponder about. Otherwise, this is not, unless and until we get the justice.
If a doctor is not safe on duty, then nobody is safe in their own home.
So of course, these are the doctors that I would again like to show you. They are holding placards, no mercy for rapists, no safety, no duty, and they are holding protest. But what has actually come? Why the doctors had to actually come out for the safety? Because it extends beyond what the horrific accident, what the horrific crime took place in Kolkata. When I was speaking to doctors here, time and again, the doctors were saying whenever something happens, the patients blame the doctor, and a lot of time we have seen, people beating up doctors inside the hospitals if something unfortunate happens with the patient. So, it extends beyond that as well.
हमारी ये मांग है कि कलकत्ता के आरजी कर मेडिकल कॉलेज में जो महिला चिकित्सक की जिस तरीके से उसकी हत्या की गई है, उसके साथ दुर्व्यवहार किया गया है, उसकी निष्पक्ष सीबीआई से जांच होनी चाहिए और दोषियों को फांसी की सजा से कम कुछ भी नहीं हम लोगों को चाहिए और साथ ही साथ उसके परिवार को कंपेंसेशन भी देना चाहिए और हम लोगों की सुरक्षा, चिकित्सक की सुरक्षा, शासन प्रशासन का ये कर्तव्य है कि हम लोग को सुरक्षा अपने कार्य क्षेत्र परिसर पर सुरक्षा प्रोवाइड की जाए और इसके लिए हम सभी की शासन प्रशासन से ये मांग है कि हम लोग की सुरक्षा हर जगह सीसीटीवी कैमरे लगाएं और सुरक्षा को सुनिश्चित करें.
Of course, the three demands across nation of all the doctors in Uttar Pradesh, a call has been today. There will be also candlelight march that will be held at 7 p.m. here in KGMU, Lucknow. Yes.
All right, and while there has been a lot of controversy over the law to prohibit violence against doctors and healthcare professionals, this has been a long-standing demand of several healthcare professionals. The Indian Medical Association has been at the forefront of several of these of these agitations in the past as well. But the centre has, in its wisdom, decided that there is no need for a separate law just yet. Anuj, we're given to understand that government doctors across Maharashtra have called for a suspension of all non-emergency and elective procedures today as well. What is the situation there on the ground? And, while, of course, Anuj, we continue to report in this story from the angle of the doctors who are, demanding justice, who are out in protest, how is this actually impacting healthcare services?
We visited most of the major hospitals here in Mumbai, be it the JJ Hospital in the morning or the Nair Hospital here. We are outside the Nair Hospital, as you can see, and they've confirmed that they will be discontinuing the non-emergency services tomorrow, and today evening we'll see a candle march taking place in the evening as a sort of a tribute and as a sort of a protest to what is happening in Kolkata. And as we've been reiterating it time and again, this incident has surely exceeded well out of the range of just being a Kolkata issue and has become pretty much a pan-India issue if you look at it, because when we talked to the doctors in the morning from the JJ Hospital, they said that this is not just about one particular angle, but they are kind of taking this opportunity to make sure that a general awareness is spread across the country about the situation of doctors. We've been seeing that the situation of the NEET students already got a lot of doctors' problems into the limelight, but there are several other issues and the impacts of the vulnerability of the doctor that the students and the young doctors had been putting their focus on. We saw that they stated time and again that being a doctor is itself a very vulnerable position because the patients on most of the occasions are emotional, and hence the treatment meted out to doctor is not necessarily civil on most of the occasions, but that is excused. So there needs, according to them, there needs to be an increased sense of general awareness about the rights of doctors, about the fact that there exists a separate laws when it comes to doctors, and they also want the strengthening in the current laws. Now, as we've been saying it is not just about the current issue, but the demand here is for more stringent laws when it comes to working healthcare professionals and about their safety as well. Because this issue, of course, has kind of gotten or made to the top of the news since last couple of days, but there have been several such similar incidents which have been taking